Could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Oh, where is my phone? All kinds of things on the ground right now. So, tonight's show is going to be centered around the draft. Shout out to all of you out there that are members of the MOBB. We just chopped it up for an hour talking about the wide receiver position in the upcoming draft. I gave you guys my top 7 wide receivers in this draft class and talked about a bevy of other receivers that will probably be drafted and with probably the first 2 days of the draft. And this is a deep draft class of wide receivers. And I think we had a pretty candid and really open dialogue about those receivers, and it was a lot of fun. So if you're a member of the Mob Squad, don't waste an opportunity to talk draft and join us, right? But for those of you who were there, enjoyed that thoroughly, looking forward to it next week. And remember, if you are a Mob Squad member, you have the right to choose who we will, what position we will dissect next week. So that's already been voted on. The linebacker position will be next week. You guys have already spoken. So we will do the linebackers next week. So do your homework. Come ready and prepared to talk about the linebacker position like you were this week with the wide receivers. And now the next poll is up for you guys to decide who we will talk about the following week, what position that will be. So looking forward to see who you guys are going to choose. I had a feeling it would be, linebacker this first time around. I'm dying to see what you guys decide is the next important thing that we need to discuss. So that will be interesting to see upcoming on the next poll. But that said, welcome to all of you. Looking forward to talking about the Commanders and the draft. We've seen some of the guys that they've had in or will have in for, those 30 interviews that they talk about. And you see the positions that they're targeting. It doesn't mean that that's what they're going to necessarily go after. Not one single defensive guy has been interviewed or Washington has used one of their visits, if you will, on to this point. Doesn't mean they're not interested in any defensive players. I know a lot of you out there talk about, Kyle Hamilton. Again, I told you, I don't think, and I've seen a ton of mock drafts that have us taking Kyle Hamilton at 11. I've seen a number of other mock drafts that have us taking a corner. And I'm thinking to myself, corner is more likely than safety. But I think, the likelihood is that we'll take a wide receiver. A lot of these people, again, this is why trust your instincts, trust your gut and your mind, because you're following this team closer than any of these pundits out there. Okay, these guys that are on a national level, all right, they don't listen to what Ron Rivera is saying at the owners meeting. Okay, they're not listening. They don't care about that, right? That's not helping them formulate their mock draft. That's the advantage we have over people who don't actually know what's being said, what we need, what our season turned out to be, why it turned out the way that it turned out, and what's important. They don't know those things. They just look at the team, look at the roster. Here's the list of needs Washington has. They need the corner. Okay, let's give them a corner. They need a safety. All right, let's give them a safety. That's not how this is going to work, okay? And Ron's already told us pretty much what they're looking at. Now, again, it's Lion season. Believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, even if it's spat by me, your man, Louie T. You know the rules to the game. Then play, okay? All right, and just because we haven't had anybody in on the defensive side of the ball for a visit doesn't mean we're not intrigued by the defensive side of the football, okay? Couldn't be further from the truth. But when I look at the draft and you see what the picks are right there, okay? 6 picks, that's it. We have to be very precise in how we maneuver this draft, okay? Because we only got 6 picks. Now, that's subject to change. Obviously, we could trade back and not select at 11, okay? We've already seen one draft trade take place where a team has picked up more draft capital for now and the future, right? Who's to say that we don't get on that train and decide, you know what, 11's cool, but what's even better than 11 is moving back to 18 and picking up, a pick in the second, a pick in the fourth, and also picking up, second round of next year. That's what's cool. We'll see. highly unlikely. You know, if we trade back, it might be in the second round or it might be in the fourth round. I don't think it'll be in the first round. But things are starting to get interesting. You know, we're starting to see what Washington is looking to do. And I do think some of these visits that they've had, we've had a couple of offensive linemen, we've had a tight end, we've had a receiver. You know, you can see that these positions are positions of need. Okay. So don't fool yourself into thinking that it's just, you know, smoke screens. Like, I think they're interested in some of these players. Some of these guys, yeah, I want to get more information. Yeah, I want to check on the medical. Yeah, this, that, and the third. But a guy like, for instance, okay, a guy like Jaden Wademeyer, right? Absolutely stunk it up. His combine was nasty. I told you I was not impressed. Okay. His tape has really hurt him because there are a lot of drops. And you know what else hurt him? His pro day last week was an atrocity. Okay. Man ran a 5 and some change. You know what Washington is saying? Hell yeah, Jaden. Hell yeah. Because what they're saying is, hey, his ass might be around in the 6th, 7th round. You know, we might not have to spend a high-level draft pick on the tight end. Because Jaden Wademeyer, say what you want. Nope, he's not the greatest athlete. All right. And we've seen that there's some drop issues potentially, but he's talented. Okay. He didn't just end up at Texas A&M. He's talented. And a lot of teams are going to pass because, and I don't look, I'm not saying I mean, I told you I wanted an athlete with this one. Okay. We got the tall, lumbering guy already in Logan Thomas. We got the blocking, sometimey, you know, not all that athletic John Bates at 3. I wanted an athlete at number 2. Clearly, Jaden Wademeyer is not an athlete. Okay. So I'm not saying that's what I'm after, but we could do a hell of a lot worse than Jaden Wademeyer in the 6th round if that's what happens because of how bad he's been at these extracurriculars after the season has met its conclusion, you know? So they're saying, hey, let's interview Jaden Wademeyer just in case he doesn't get drafted at all. He'd be one of the first guys we'll call. Have his ass come in here. And just like we got last year with Jarrett Patterson, we'll sign his ass up as an undrafted, you know, free agent. So I think they're doing their homework on some guys that they may be over there preying on. Like, okay, all right, I saw you had a funky ass pro day. Your combine wasn't much better. You might not get drafted. Let's have him come in for a visit just to see where his head's at. All right. And let him know that we're interested. So when the phone rings after that last pick is made and it's us, he knows that we are interested. Now, he may be saying, why the hell y'all ain't use a draft pick? We could easily counter with saying, hey, we only had 6, bro. We didn't have 12. We only had 6. Had other needs we had to address. So anyway, long story short, you're starting to see how they're moving. So offensive line, they've already had 2 offensive linemen in for interviews, right? For visits. So that tells you, and I've already told you, we need offensive line depth now. It helps tremendously that Cornelius Lucas is back. And I told you, Cole Luke was a big one for me because swing tackle is something you don't want to be without. You know, you could be without, you know, a ton of depth at guard and center and all that shit. You cannot be without depth at tackle. That's how you get got in this league. So, which we have some interior depth, but we're banking on, and I'm never comfortable banking on a guy that hasn't shown me on a consistent basis what he's capable of. We're banking on Sadiq Charles stepping in at guard and us not missing a beat. You comfortable doing that? Because I'm not comfortable doing that. I want to see what that looks like, but I'm not comfortable with him being the starter and saying, all right, I got Wes Schweitzer off the bench if I need to in a pinch, because I can easily see Cornelius, and we've already seen Sadiq Charles not stay healthy too. That's another part of this, which is why I feel like you just need depth, period, inside. Wes Schweitzer is beautiful because he gives you depth at 3 positions, all 3 of the interior offensive line positions, both guards and center, which he showed us last year. So I think it is imperative that we get another guard at some point, whether it be free agency, some guys that are still out there, you know, around, or we get one in the draft. I think it's probably best if we get one via the draft. Later on in the draft, doesn't have to be a guy in the, you know, 1st, 2nd, or even the 4th round. I'd prefer that pick to come, you know, in the 5th or the 6th. I don't think we have a 5th round pick. So the 6th or the 7th. I would prefer us to get our guard then, similar to the way we got Chase Rouye. That was a 5th rounder, and we don't have a 5th rounder, but I would prefer to do it that way with the offensive line. But they're starting to talk to those guys. They're sniffing around, wide receiver position. Clearly, that's going to be something that we attack. I think we're going to attack it early. I think I've talked all of the Washington fans that I've talked to. They're convinced. They're convinced. I don't like when everyone is pretty much in unison saying the same thing. It scares me. It makes me think that something bad's about to happen. It makes me think that something unforeseen is about to happen. I never like when everyone just is sure that this one thing is going to happen. That scares me, especially when it comes to this team. Okay. So the fact that everybody's convinced that we're getting Chris Olave at 11, that's starting to scare me to the point where I'm like, somebody's going to take Chris Olave in the top 10 now because we are so sold that he's going to be there at 11 and that we're going to take him. Now, all of a sudden, the Jets or somebody else like that is going to take him in the top 10. He's not going to be there. Watch. That's just this eerie feeling that I get listening to every Washington fan talk about. I'm seeing videos, people doing videos about Chris Olave and how he's going to help this offense. And I'm like, we haven't even drafted him yet. What are you doing? What are you doing? So I'm getting nervous now. I'm getting nervous, but I'm not waffling. I'm not, moving off of the spot. Still think that's the pick. I still think that's the guy that Ron would like for him to be there at 11. I think that's the guy they're most comfortable with. I've already seen a quote of him saying, Terry McLaurin was my mentor, one of my best buds when I was at Ohio State. So clearly there is a working relationship there. Clearly there is a friendship there. Clearly Terry's over there vouching for him like, hey, man, if you can get Olave, this dude's bad. I would love to have him add another Ohio State Buckeye. This is starting to feel like with Bruce Allen and Alabama players, it's starting to feel like that with Ohio State players. There's Chase Young, there's Terry McLaurin, there's Curtis Samuel, and now there's about to be Chris Olave, if in fact that's the direction they decide to go in, or Garrett Wilson if they decide to go in that direction, whatever the case may be. We're starting to add a lot of Ohio State Buckeyes on this roster, but you won't get any complaints out of me because all of their asses can play. So as long as you're adding talented football players, you won't get any complaints out of me. That said, you see the direction that they're going in. You see what they're looking to do. You see that this team is looking to add around Carson Wentz. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that, and they've talked to a running back too. Okay, again, this running back in particular, LSU running back, may not be drafted. Okay, there's no guarantee that they'll be drafted, but again, you don't just talk to guys that you may want to take in the draft. You talk to guys that you think may not get drafted, but you really like, so that you can plant that seed. So if he doesn't get drafted, you pick up the phone and you make that call to his agent, that they know that you're interested. You already talked to this guy before. So, but what that says to me, that they've already interviewed a running back and had one for a visit, it says they're not satisfied with what they have at the running back position. I don't think they should be either. I started to look at the running back position the other day, and, there's a guy that I like a lot, and I don't really know where he's going to go. And I honestly think it'll be too high for us in the draft because, again, I've talked about it. Like, I was on Navi's channel the other day, and, he was talking about Breece Hall. And I'm like, Breece Hall is going to be one of the first running backs taken. Probably not in the first round. I don't think there's a first round running back this year. But, I mean, even if there is, it'll be late first. And Breece Hall probably won't be the first one taken, and if he is, again, late first, but he'll more likely not be a second round pick. We can't spend a second round pick on a running back. We're in no position to spend a second round pick. Like, that's not a massive need. It's a secondary. Hell, to me, it's not even a secondary need. It's an ancillary need. A secondary need for us is offensive line. Do we need it right away? No, we don't. We have 5 guys we can start on the offensive line, right? We got 2 tackles, we got 2 guards we can start, and we got a center. We don't actually need a center right now, but it's a secondary need. It becomes a need very quickly if you don't address it. A primary need is, hey, it's a hole right there on the roster. Like, we don't even have a starter right there as we speak. That's a primary need. A secondary need is, hey, we got a starter there, but we could sure use some depth in the worst way. Running back is like a, a need that's kind of off the beaten path. Like, yeah, don't really need a running back per se, but man, I sure would like to get one. So there's a couple of guys that I like, and it's the kid Ford that used to go to Alabama that transferred to Cincinnati. I like him a lot. I like Ford a lot. I would love it if he were around in like the 4th or 5th round. We don't have a 5th round pick. What am I saying? I mean, it would have to probably. I can't see him lasting past the 4th. I think he's a 4th round back, personally, maybe even a 3rd. I like him a lot. I sure would like it if he were there in the 4th. Just give me an option. I don't think that's something we need to do. Again, if we draft a running back, I think it would be, one of the last 3 picks, 6 or one of the 2 7s. But that 4th round pick, that's where, Ford will be. I like him a lot, man. I really, truly do. I think he'd be the perfect back to round out our running back room. I really, truly do. Anyway, just a thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that they had a running back in for a visit lets me know that they are aware that that running back room isn't complete. And maybe the 3 guys that we have on the roster right now that were, up for most of the games last season, and Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, and Jarrett Patterson, maybe those 3 are ultimately the 3 best options at running back for us, and we don't need to tinker with it at all. But I at least would like to try. Okay, I would at least like someone to challenge Jarrett Patterson for that final roster spot. And if he can ward them off, fine. He stays as the number 3, and I'm ready to roll. But I don't like, similar to the kicking position last year going into the season, there needs to be competition. Like, don't just say, oh, no, we're good at running back. We got 3 guys. We're straight. We don't need to add anything else. No, add another guy. Let them duke it out for the final, roster spot at running back, and let the chips fall where they may. That's what I want to see happen. So whether that's an undrafted guy, that's a drafted guy, it'd be nice. But it lets me know that they understand that the running back position isn't complete yet. So that's a good sign as well. So I'm gonna throw out another name that I like a lot, since we're talking draft, and I'm just all over the place right now. I see some comments, so I'll get to those here in a second. I told you I want a nickel. Bad. All right. I really have taken a strong liking. I think I even told you guys this during the combine, that I really liked him. But I've taken a strong liking to Roger McQuarrie of Auburn. He just strikes me as one of these physical, nasty, doggy nickels that just is all over dudes, borderline holding, which is what you need in the nickel. You need a guy that's a little handsy, but got enough recovery speed and enough swag to get away with it. And like, that's what Mike Hilton was last year in free agency, which is why I wanted him. All right. You need one of those dudes inside, I want Roger McQuarrie. In order to get Raj, though, you probably gonna have to spend a 2nd round pick on him. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Raj is gonna be around. I know Raj ain't gonna be there in the 4th round. We don't have a 3rd rounder. I don't even think he would be there in the 3rd round, to be honest, but that would have to be the latest you could get him, would be the 3rd. I think he's going to be gone in the 2nd, personally. I like him a lot, man. He's a dog. Raj is a dog. I watched him battling dudes. I watched him battle Jahan Dotson. I watched him battling who were they playing? They had 2 receivers, and he was like, look, I'll take either one. I don't give a shit. Who was it that they were playing? And they were good too. Oh man. Let me check my sheet. It'll probably come to me if I look at my my binder. It was Alabama. It was Alabama. It was John Mechie and it was Jameson Williams. He was all over their ass. He didn't give a shit, man. He was all over those boys. He was dogging them, man. And they made their fair share of plays. That's what happens when you play corner. But man, he was on their ass the entire game. Like, all right, man, wherever the hell one of y'all going, I'm going with y'all. Slot, outside, wherever y'all at, that's where I'm gonna be. I mean, he literally was like my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. Wherever you go, I go. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me. It was like my Roger and me. I loved it. I mean, I love me some Roger McQuarrie, man. But I don't think we're gonna be able to get him personally, because I still and I know you guys heard what GM Martin Mayhew said. He pretty much doubled down on Ron Rivera's comment about Cole Holcomb inside. But for those of you who didn't hear what GM Martin Mayhew said regarding the linebacker position and Cole Holcomb, he said, we like what we saw from Cole Holcomb in his limited exposure at middle linebacker last year. And that's something that we are willing to explore if need be. He said that because of Cole's play last season, we're not desperate at middle linebacker. I almost wanted to look Martin right in his eyes and say, why is you lying? Why is you lying? Come on, Martin. Stop lying. What you talking about, Martin? And it's lion season, and you don't want to show your hand. So those are the kind of comments that you make to let everybody know, hey, I'm straight. Like, that's what I wanted Washington to do this offseason instead of saying, hey, we need a quarterback. 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 Anybody got a quarterback? Anybody got a quarterback? Come on, man. I'll give you some draft picks. You got a quarterback. Instead of doing that, I wanted them to play cool. Like, hey, man, if we get a quarterback, cool. If not, it's whatever, man. We straight. That's what they're doing at linebacker. While quietly, they back here visiting with some of these young boys and setting the stage for them to draft one in the second round. They out here playing it cool like, man, shit, we don't need no linebacker for real. We got Cole Holcomb. Worst come to worst, we'll put Cole inside. We drafted Jamin Davis last year. We got a couple of boys on the roster right now that we straight with, because really a lot of times we only got two linebackers on the field anyway. So, Cole Holcomb, Jamin Davis, and we straight. Like, for real, we ain't even tripping. Yeah, that's how you do it. While deep down inside, they're like, yo, please, Troy Anderson, please be there. Chad Muma, please be there in the second round. So that's how you do it, though. I don't believe them for 1 second. I think they want linebacker in the second round, and I think they're looking to draft one in the second round. If the guy that they like is there, they will pull the trigger. That's what I think. But I think they're setting the stage for in case that guy is not there and they have to go in a different direction. Because, again, you got no third rounder. So they're essentially saying, if we don't get the dude that we want, in the second round, we may not have the luxury of drafting another guy. Because, like I said already, we already got David Mayo on the roster. One David Mayo is one David Mayo too many. Okay. We don't need another one of those dudes. So taking a guy in the 5th or the 6th, we don't have a 5th round. I got to stop saying that. Taking a guy in the 6th or the 7th round at the linebacker position doesn't appeal to me. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. That reeks of special teams linebacker. Okay. A guy that's a key contributor on special teams. Sort of like Khalil Hudson. That's what that reeks of. Okay. When you draft a guy in the 5th or the 6th or the 7th round, 9 times out of 10, that reeks of special teams. We got Cole Holcomb in the 5th round, I believe. That's an outlier. Okay, he's an outlier. All right, he's not the norm. Okay, so I love it when people are like, hey, we got Cam Curl in the 7th round. Don't make a habit of drafting dudes in the 6th and 7th round and thinking they're going to turn into gems. Don't make a habit out of that. Okay. That shit is rare. Okay. Just keep that in mind. All right. When you look at teams and you look at their starters, you look at their stars and the guys that make Pro Bowls, you're not getting a bunch of undrafted. That's why it's such a big story when a guy is undrafted and he makes it to the Pro Bowl or he's a first team all, pro or whatever. That's why it's a big effing deal. Because it's rare. Okay. And it's a great story. If I can do it, you can do it. That's what usually comes from that story. But in all actuality, because I did it doesn't mean you can do it. It's hard. Okay. So I said all of that to say this. If they don't get a linebacker in the 2nd round, I think they go to plan B. Plan B is we go with Cole Holcomb at linebacker, middle linebacker. And we veer off, we take a different position or we trade back, whatever the case may be, and we go in a different direction in the draft. If linebacker is there, one of the ones that they would love to have, they pull the trigger in round 2. And then, so for me, wide receiver, then linebacker, and then in round 4, that's when you start looking, all right, best player available meeting my need. You would love it if there's a corner or a safety, sitting there for you to take in the 4th round at 113. That would be ideal. It'd be lovely if there's a guard just sitting there, like with illumination coming from each and every pore of their body, waiting for you in the 4th round, where you just say, oh man, that's the perfect replacement for Brandon Sheriff right there. Got it. We'll see what happens. I'll tell you this. Receiver, linebacker, in that order, first 2 picks. After that, I think it's really best BPA, best player available. You hope it meets a need, but it's BPA. And what Ron and company showed me last year, and I don't know if what we saw last year is indicative of what we'll see moving forward. I like to assume, okay, and sometimes assuming, what it can do, it can make an ass out of you and me. But I like to assume with GMs that they usually don't veer too far away from their MO, okay? Last year, what we saw from Martin Mayhew, Ron Rivera, Marty Herney and company is that as we got deeper into the draft, they started hunting after needs. We needed a long snapper. What did they do? They traded with Philadelphia so they could pick up more picks, draft a long snapper, draft another safety, and draft 2 edge rushers and another wide receiver. All right. So we needed more defensive line help. We needed a long snapper. We needed another receiver. We didn't know we were going to get Adam Humphries, but we ended up getting Adam Humphries, but we needed another receiver. I think we already had Adam Humphries, but they wanted Adam Humphries to be the mentor to Dax Milne, right? Teach him, show him the ropes for 1 year. You walk away. Dax Milne is inserted into the lineup. That's essentially what happened. We started hunting needs. We needed a tight end. When they got a tight end, we needed a safety. They went and got Derek Forrest. They started hunting needs as we got later into the draft. Don't know if they necessarily were looking best player available as much as it was best player available that fits a need. He might be the 8th highest rated person on our board, but he's the 1st rated safety. So we're going to take him because we need a safety. He might be the 12th rated, highest rated player left on our board, but he's the 1st at the tight end position. So we're going to take him because we need a tight end. That's what it seemed like they were doing as the draft wore on. I think these first 2 picks, they're looking for talent, elite talent. And clearly, like I can't state this enough. Do we need wide receiver? Yes. Is wide receiver a primary need? No, it is not. If we're keeping it a buck with one another, wide receiver is not a primary need. It's not even technically a secondary need. That would fall in the category of where running back is, where it's truly a tertiary need. It's really a need that we look at and we say we want it, but do we truly need it? Think about it. If Terry is back, which he's not going anywhere, if Diami is back and healthy, and Curtis Samuel is back and healthy, which all three of those guys are, okay, that's not even wood I'm knocking on. All right, that's three receivers right there. Cam Sims is back in the fold, and Dax Milne is back in the fold, and I still think they want to bring back DeAndre Carter because right now they don't have a guy to return kickoffs and punts. But we'll see if they address that in the draft or if they have somebody else on the roster, a corner or a running back or somebody else that may be able to fill that void for them. The bottom line is we got receivers, man. I'm not saying I love the receivers that we have, which is clear by what they're deciding to do and what I keep saying, hey, take a receiver at 11, right? But if we're being technical with one another, we could not draft a receiver at 11 or 47 and be fine. Okay, we could be fine. If those guys stay healthy, if De'Ami Brown takes a massive leap in year 2, Dax Milne, the same can be said for him, and Cam Sims gets more targets and he steps up, we're fine at receiver. We're not great, which is what we ultimately are striving to be, great at receiver. Not good, not solid, great at receiver. But don't kid yourself. Receiver is not a must at 11. However, they're looking at talent. We need a grade A bona fide stud at receiver. And some people could spin it as, hey, maybe they're getting this guy because they know they may not be able to re-sign Terry. It's a lot of craziness going on at the receiver position. And you've got to be strong as an organization with your stance. Like the Titans, I said it, I think on Navi's show. Titans aren't trading A.J. Brown. I might have said this on my podcast too. I expect A.J. Brown to remain a Tennessee Titan. They don't have shit at receiver. They can't afford to move on from A.J. Brown. Okay? Without him, they cease to exist at the receiver position. So I figured the Titans are going to do whatever it takes to make him happy and keep him in Tennessee. DK Metcalf, on the other hand, I think he can be had for the right price. Then and because of what happened with Tyreek Hill and what could potentially happen with DK Metcalf, then people are starting to look. And Deebo Samuel, I know y'all saw what the hell is going on. Deebo Samuel wiped his social media clean. That's what all the young boys do. Okay? It's a part of negotiations. That's what the young boys do now. Wipe your shit clean of social media, of all of your team's posts and anything affiliated with the team to show that you're not happy, that you're taking a stance. So now people are like, hey, Deebo might be able to be had. The 49ers aren't getting rid of Deebo Samuel. He's too big of a part of their offense. They'll figure it out, right? Same thing with us. I feel the same way about Terry. He's too big a part of what we do, not just offensively. Terry's too big of a part of this organization. He's intertwined in the fabric of this organization. When you go on the website, you see 3 dudes, now 4 with Carson Wentz, but 3 dudes in particular. You see Jonathan Allen, who got an extension last year and is not going anywhere. He is a foundational building block. You see Terry McLaurin, who's about to get paid because he's not going anywhere. He's a Ron Rivera guy. He is a foundational building block. He's the equivalent of Jonathan Allen on the offensive side of the football. And then you see Chase Young because they are hoping that the former number 2 overall pick lives up to the hype. Those are the 3 guys that you see. So Terry's not going anywhere. But the longer you wait, the more, rumors come out, all this shit come out about how, oh my God, Terry McLaurin could be had, He's not going anywhere. All right. Don't buy the hype. But, negotiations, they can get ugly sometimes, and they do take a long time. They draw out. I told you, don't expect anything until July. But, you draft a guy at 11, and Terry still doesn't have a deal, and all of a sudden you're going to get people saying, oh, they drafted him at 11 because they might be getting rid of Terry McLaurin. They may not want to pay Terry the money that he's looking for. You're going to get that too. Especially if we take Chris Olave or one of these receivers at 11, it's only going to further that narrative. So prepare yourself. All I'm telling you to do is be prepared because the shit's coming. Anticipate it. All right. When you anticipate, you're not surprised. Okay. You're like, oh shit. Louis T told me that. I've been ready for that. I ain't even tripping. Don't let the shit catch you off guard because that's when you get pissed off. Like, is this shit true? Nah, it ain't true. But this is what people do this time of the year. I need clicks. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a headline that says, Washington drafts receiver Terry McLaurin's future in doubt. And your dumb ass going to click on the shit. Because you need to see what the hell he's talking about. Which ain't a damn thing, okay? Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. See what you guys are talking about. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for getting us kicked off tonight. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, hey, Lou, Mob. He said, we member royalty are here to mingle. You know what it is. Stand up. We in the building. We always in the building. Wherever we go, we always hold it down with the mob squad. You know what it is. Appreciate you, Metaphor. Let's see. Metaphor. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, Metaphor, writes, I'll take some Muma, but that Jacoby dude legit. So a lot of guys, and I know you heard Washington was, sniffing around him as well. So a lot of guys that are interesting in this draft class. But again, things get complicated because we don't have a third round pick. So that forces you to do something that you may not want to do. You may have Jacoby as a third round prospect, but in your heart of hearts, like Muma's gone, Anderson's gone at 47, right? Let's say Muma gets snatched up at 41 and damn, Anderson got snatched up at 45, right? Because we're in no position to trade up. Okay, we got 6 picks, and you don't want to start giving up draft capital for next year. We're in no position to move up 2 picks. Even that hurts right now in the position that we're in, right? So we're in no position to trade up. So he's getting close, and you're just hoping he falls 2 more spots, and he doesn't. He gets snatched up at 45, right? So the 2 linebackers that you really wanted, they're gone. Now, there's another guy, as you just mentioned, in Jacoby, but you looked at him and you said, man, we got a 3rd round grade on this dude. Well, guess what? Your ass don't have a 3rd round pick. So now you might have to do something that you don't want to do, which is spend a 2nd round pick on a guy that you think you might be reaching for. But you know what I like to say when it comes to the draft? Get your guy when you feel the need to get your guy. Let us fans talk about how you overdrafted a player, okay? Let us have the conversation about we reached, okay? Let us have that conversation. You get the guy you feel like you need to get when you feel like you need to get him, okay? Because you don't know what Philadelphia, you don't know what the Giants, you don't know what the Steelers, you don't know what the team behind you is thinking about. So just take the guy that you feel like you need to take. These are the decisions that become really interesting. That's why this draft, more so than any draft in recent memory for me, is going to be interesting because, one, I think we feel like we got a handle on what's going to happen. Like, I remember saying 2 weeks ago, I have no clue what we're going to do at 11. I kind of feel like we know what we're going to do at 11 now. Like, generally, we don't do a really good job of, holding our cards close to the vest in terms of our 1st round pick and what we're thinking about doing with it. And most fan bases, if you follow a team close enough, I don't care how tight you try to hold it to the vest. If you follow a team as closely as we follow, a lot of us follow this particular organization, you're going to know what they're thinking about doing. You know what they need. They know that you know that I know that we all know what they need. And so, you know what they're sniffing around. You may not know exactly what player they're going to come away with, but you know what position that they're targeting. We seem to always not only know what position we're targeting, but we seem to always know what player we're also going to end up with. That's kind of how we feel this year. But what's that 11 is to me, there's no more suspense with the 11th pick for Washington because I expect to come away with a receiver at bare minimum. I think it's going to be Olave, but at bare minimum, if it's not Olave, it's the next guy that they like at receiver. They've already made it abundantly clear we're going to surround Carson Wentz with weapons. So I think they're looking to add guns and shit, personally. So with that said, the suspense at 11 is gone for me. What is interesting is everything thereafter. What they do at 47. Do they move back, pick up more picks? Do they value what is available at 47 and just make a selection? It hurts not having that second day 2 pick, not having a 3rd round pick. That shit stings just as much as not having a 2nd round pick. It hurts. I'd much rather not have the 3rd than not have the 2nd, right? But we've been in both scenarios in just the last 3 years. 3 years ago, we didn't have a 2nd round pick because of the Dwayne Haskins selection that forced us to trade up for Montez Sweat. So then we didn't have a 2nd round pick. So we know what it's like to not have one of your day 2 picks. It hurts. It hamstrings you. Okay. It makes you start thinking about irrational shit. I've had more fans in the last 3 weeks talk about trading back than they were the whole entire month of February, and into March before the Wentz deal was commenced. So what fans are essentially saying is, I value having more opportunities to make selections versus, and this is where some of you kind of get lost. Quantity over quality. In this league, the Rams are proving it right now. It's quality over quantity. I never want to turn into the Seattle Seahawks. Never, ever. Where I bypass quality for quantity. The Seahawks are like, I don't need a 1st round. 1st round, smirch round. Give me 5 7th round picks and I'll show you something. No, I'm good. You can have the 4 7th round picks. You in Dallas and Minnesota and all these teams that like to stockpile 7th round picks, you go right ahead, okay? That shit was not fun for me last year when we had William Bradley King, Dax Milne, and Shaka Toney all in the 7th. That shit is not fun for me. I don't get excited about 7th round selections. I get excited about 2nd round and 1st round and 3rd round and hell, some 4th round selections. I don't get excited about 4 7th round selections. That shit does not move the needle for me. And there are some of you out there that would much rather have 2 4th round picks and no 2nd round pick, or 2 4th rounders and 2 5th rounders and no 2nd. No, I'd much rather have the 2nd, a 4th, and no 5th. Okay? Not 2 4s and 2 5s. Don't talk to me about how deep this draft class is. I want the quality, not the quantity. I'm cool with the bread, egg, cheese list that we have of 6 draft picks. I'm cool with that as long as you go in, get what you need, and get out. Don't walk around the cookie snack aisle and shit. You already got your milk and your eggs and your cheese, and now you loitering. Now you walking around the cookie aisle, man. Damn. You know what? I could really use some shortbread cookies, man. This shit's looking real good right about now. But what about the lemon cookies? Yeah, I could go for some of those. I don't need you loitering around the store thinking about other shit to pick up. When you got 6 draft picks, get in, get out. Get the items you need. Don't sit around, because all that's going to do is allow you more time to think about doing some reckless and frivolous shit. Get what you need and get out. I've seen teams execute the hell out of a 4 or 5 player draft class. And you go, man, it's not enough for me to grade, right? It's still an incomplete grade, because for me, in order to have a draft that's gradable, 6 is the cutoff, okay? But you get a standard allotment of 7 picks. If you don't do anything, you don't trade nothing, you just take the picks that you're given, you get 7 of those right off the top. So you should at least have 7, but that's not how it works. This is not a perfect world. You're going to trade, you're going to wheel, you're going to deal. You may get some compensatories, you may not. And you may end up with 8, 9, 10. You may end up with 6, 5, or 4. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. we're in a position where we have 6. We haven't been in this position in quite some time. Generally, we've got 7 or we've got 8. Last year we had 10 because we made some moves. We're not used to having less than the minimum allotment, the standard allotment. So now we're going to find out how good they are. Either they're going to wheel and deal, pick up more picks, or they're going to get in and get out and get what we need. And I told you this is a big offseason for the conglomerate of Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew, and Marty Hurney. This is a big offseason. Last year I gave him a pass like, hey, those boys just got here. Ron was still kind of settling in. He moved on from Kyle Smith because he didn't trust him. And I said, okay, I get it. I don't love it, but I get it. Now I want to see what y'all about. Y'all been here long enough. Y'all know what we need. Y'all not working with a lot here. Only 6 draft picks. I want to see what you about. We're going to find out a lot about these boys this offseason. Sure. Anyway, I know I went off on a tangent. I do that from time to time. Trevor Patch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Panthers buds think Ron will go big wide receiver like Drake to replicate Devin Funchess or Kelvin Benjamin for Carson to throw to. Thoughts? Talked to C3? No, I haven't talked to them. That might be an interesting, person to talk to. My guy, the Professor Tony Dunn over at C3. But that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If you go back, I talked about the safety position and how if you go off of Ron's track record, he's not going to take Kyle Hamilton at 11 if he's available because that's just not his MO. It's not his steed. You could say that this is his steeds right here, these big wide receivers. This is what he likes. Carson likes to throw to him, and this is what he's had a track record with in the past, and this is the thing he likes to do. And you guys could be 110% spot on about that. I think he's taken a strong liking to Terry, so much so that he's like, are you telling me that this Olave fella is a clone of you? Because if it is, sign me up. I'll take another one of these. And I think that's the feeling that Ron's getting from Chris Olave. The vibe that he's getting from Olave is that he's another, tireless worker like Terry, guy that does and says everything the right way, a guy that's going to be a leader in the locker room, a leader off the field, a leader on the field, a guy that's going to be highly productive, highly accountable. Like that's what he's looking for. And if you look at those big guys that he drafted, Devin Funchess, Kelvin Benjamin, those guys were not highly accountable. That's why Devin Funchess right now I don't think is even in the league. Kelvin Benjamin flamed out of the league very quickly, ate his way out of the league very quickly. I don't know if he's looking for one of those guys or not. I think that's part of the reason why he brought Cam Sims back so that he didn't have to feel like he needed to go after a Drake London. That's my personal opinion, is that he brought back Cam Sims so that the urge to take a big receiver was removed by him going and bringing Cam Sims back. You don't have Cam Sims. You look across the board at all these receivers, and they're all 6 feet or shorter, and you say, okay. And Dax Milne, I think he's probably like 6'2". So that's not true. But aside from Dax Milne, you take a look at Cam Sims, you remove those two from the equation, and I think across the board, you're 6 feet or shorter. And I think that was the reason why, Cam Sims was so imperative to bring back. Now that he's back, I think Ron is like, yeah, I can do what I want to do at receiver, which is draft more speed and a guy that's a technician. Because remember when we played Dallas, I think that was the most apparent game that we couldn't separate. Like Terry wasn't getting a ton of separation. And even when he did, and this is the part that pisses me off because Cowboys fans will tell you that Terry couldn't separate and that Trayvon Diggs was in his back pocket. I'll tell you, Terry smoked his ass on the deep ball, and that Taylor Heineke left that shit up in the air for about 365 days, and we was screaming Happy New Year, and the ball was still in the damn air, and Terry ended up getting, smacked around. If I'm not mistaken, he got a concussion in that game because of that. If not, I might have my games mixed up. I know he beat him by like 2 steps, and the ball hung in the air forever. Anyway, long story short, we need another guy that can win and win big. And I think that guy is Chris Olave, not Drake London, not Treylon Burks. That guy is Chris Olave. So we'll see what happens. But that's a good point. That's something to consider. Trevor Patch. It really is. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Michael writes, I want 100% no, it's wide receiver at 11. But he says, but I sure don't like it. Feels like there's many other needs to fill. He says that it feels like it's receiver essentially, but there's so many other needs to fill. And while that may be true, what makes you a better football team right now? Because let's just take a step back. We're fans of this team, so we know what we need. We talked about the needs this offseason. I told you receiver was 4th on the list of needs. Like, it's not number 1, it's not number 2, it's not number 3. The only need that we've knocked down that was ahead of wide receiver on the list of offseason needs was quarterback. We still need middle linebacker. We still need a corner / free safety. We still need secondary help. So we still need help at a number of positions that aren't wide receiver. But let's take a step back and assess the situation. What is the one position that you can address right away that makes this team exponentially better right now? Okay. And some of you will say, well, it's middle linebacker. We can't quantify middle linebacker making this defense better, because if we can't get pressure on a quarterback, who gives a shit that you got a middle linebacker? We're still going to get carved up, right? So to me, the position that gives you, to me, the best chance to be exponentially better, because the defense wasn't great last year. I understand. I get it. I understand the defense didn't live up to the hype, but the defense was still, middle of the pack. We got hot at the end of the season. We got better. So it kind of came back closer to the mean than it was early in the season, where we were horrible, right? So we assume that we're not playing Josh Allen and Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and Matt Ryan and Justin Herbert and Derek Carr. We're not playing that schedule this year, okay? Like, that was a murderer's row schedule, and Aaron Rodgers. We're not doing that shit this year, okay? So I assume, and maybe I'm wrong for assuming, again, it's assuming. Sometimes you get yourself in trouble assuming. I assume that we won't have the same type of issues that we had on defense last season, right? Because we're not playing the same caliber of quarterbacks and teams that we played a season ago. That said, the defense isn't that far away from being good enough to put us in a position where we need to be to win consistently. Where we are lacking severely, and have been for the last 4 years, is offense, okay? Ever since Kirk Cousins left, this offense has been an atrocity. It was an atrocity in 2018 when Alex Smith was here. Even when we were winning games, the offense was a joke. We were winning games off the strength of the defense dominating inferior offenses. We weren't winning because we were scoring 35 points. We were winning because we were scoring 20, but the defense was holding the other team to 10. So 18, the offense was garbage. 19, the offense was one of the worst in NFL history. 20, the offense was it was bad again. It was one of the worst in football. And in 21, our offense was, bottom third of the league. Okay. So you ask me, how do we get to a place where winning seems more attainable on a consistent basis? Well, we already upgraded the most important position in all the sports, at quarterback. And the next thing I think you do is you get a receiver that complements Terry, that helps Curtis Samuel, and really bolsters this offense. Because if we're scoring 27 points a game, which we haven't been close to since probably the 2012 season of Robert Griffin III, maybe 2015 with Kirk Cousins, maybe 2016, that next year, we were scoring up around 27. Probably 2016 is the last time we were up around 27 points a game, okay? Which is what the winners do, which is what the big boys in this league do on offense. 27 or better. Really, the big boys on offense, they scoring up around 30. But still, you get 27, you scoring 27, you can win a lot of games doing that. We haven't scored anywhere remotely close to 27 points since 2016, probably. That's got to be the last year that we've been remotely close. I don't think we were even that close in 2017. That's Kirk's last year. 18, it was like we ran off a cliff, and we haven't climbed back up that cliff yet. 18, 19, 20, 21, our offensive output from a point production standpoint has been garbage, straight up. The fastest way to give us a chance to win, to me, is to improve the offense. You did that at quarterback, and I think you need to do it at wide receiver. So while I understand we got holes to fill, wide receiver and quarterback, a combination of the two being upgraded, which you've already done one, now you're looking to do the other. You get Curtis Samuel back, which instantly upgrades this offense as well. It's like almost like getting another free agent, because he damn sure wasn't impactful last year. So like getting another free agent and Curtis Samuel, right? You add all of that stuff up, and all of a sudden this offense starts clicking and we start scoring points. I don't know what this defense is going to be. I don't think any of us are gung-ho on the defense this year like we were the last 2 off seasons where we thought the sky's the limit for this defense. I think we are really at a wait-and-see approach and mode with this defense. Like, I don't really know what the hell to expect. But if you're scoring, 26 this week, and you're scoring 33 next week, and you're scoring 37, and then you're scoring 29, the defense doesn't have to be great to win those football games. This has got to be average, and you'll win. But if we're still scoring 20 points a game, 21, we barely making it to 23 points. We scrounging together all these damn field goals, and we barely got a couple of touchdowns, but we kicked 3 field goals and we got 23 points. You're gonna find yourself losing some games you should win. Like, you can't score 16 repeatedly in this league and expect to win. That's the shit that we've been on the last 2 years. Scoring 16 and 17 points and continuing to watch the scoreboard, hoping the other team doesn't leapfrog us. Even that 4-game win streak that we had. Yeah, the first 2 games were lovely. We scored 29 against Tampa. We scored 27 against the Panthers. That was like heaven. When's the last time we scored that many points in back-to-back weeks? It was like heaven. Then we came crashing down to earth against the Raiders when we scored, what we scored, 16, 17 in that game? Max? I think it was 16. I think we beat the Raiders 16-15 or some shit like that. And then the next week we scored, 17 against Seattle and won that game? So I said all of that to say this. Okay, I think we beat Seattle 17-15. I said all of that to say this. You're not going to win a lot of games scoring 17 points in this league. The quickest way to winning is to score more points. We don't know how dominant this defense is going to be, or if it's going to be dominant at all. If it is, great. If it isn't, we can still win, and that's fine too. But the only way we can still win if the defense isn't dominant is if we score points. So to me, the most rapid and fastest way to us upping our win total is by scoring more points. And scoring more points comes by having more talent on offense. Well, we've upgraded the most important position. The next position that we need to upgrade is wide receiver. So I get that we have other needs, but which one is going to add the most value to the team and maybe to the win total? The fastest. To me, that's wide receiver. So anyway, thank you for the super chat, Michael White. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Metaphor writes, I said MOBB, don't dance. Just pull up our burgundy pants and do it Ron's way. Now trade back. Trade back. He said Terry Squad. So he's over here busting out some Fat Joe lean back lyrics on us. Trade back. Trade back. I don't see it happening. But you never know. I won't rule out anything at 11, especially trading back. I won't rule it out. I don't think it's happening, but I won't rule it out. Let's see. Martin Matthews, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Double M, writes, hey, Louie, if both Ohio boys are gone before pick 11, do we get JW and another wide receiver later? Your thoughts? JW, Jameson Williams? I don't think you take Jameson Williams and still look to add another receiver. We're only adding one receiver. We're not adding multiple receivers, right? Like, again, we're not in a position. We don't have 11 draft picks. So you can add one now and one later. You get one receiver, and then you have to move on to the next need. Okay. We can't take two linebackers this year. Even though we could use the depth, we could use multiple linebackers. You get one linebacker and then you move on. Like, that's where we are. Like, it's like Halloween candy with the person that only bought one bag, and you get up there and you get one piece of candy. You're like, come on, man. Who gives out one piece of candy? Man, if you don't put 3-4 pieces in my bag, she's like, look, I got one bag and I'm rationing it out because once this runs out, I'm turning my light off. So you show up at the door and you get that one little piece of candy, move on. One wide receiver, move on. One linebacker, move on. One guard, move on. One corner, move on. You only got 6 picks? Move on. We don't get to double up here, okay? Last year, we were doubling up on all kinds of positions, okay? We doubled up on receiver. We doubled up on edge rusher. You know, we were doubling up on all kinds of shit. This year, we're not in that position to be doubling up on nothing. We got 6 picks. We don't have 10. So, to me, if they draft Jameson Williams, it ain't no another receiver. You drafting Jameson Williams because you think he's going to be ready relatively early in the season, and he's going to be able to help you right away. Dejan Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Stingley, Hamilton, Olave at 11. Who you got, my G? It's Olave. I've already made it abundantly clear that I like Stingley a lot. I fell in love with Stingley, and I told you I don't like looking at minors. But, man, it was hard not to stare. In his freshman year, I'd never seen anything like it. He was so dominant. I haven't seen that guy in 2 years, man. I ain't seen that dude in 2 years. I don't even know what he looks like anymore. You know, when you start watching this tape, you watch you watch the early stuff first. So it reminds you of why you love him. And then you watch the new stuff and you go, okay, that's not the guy I could take at 11. But you remind yourself that 2019 season, this dude was magical. He was magical. I'm taking Olave. I've already said. I love Hamilton. I love Stingley. And in a different position, I'll put it to you this way. If De'Ami Brown had 827 yards receiving last year and looked like a legitimate number 2, we're not having this conversation. If those 3 guys are on the board, I'm taking Stingley or Hamilton. Probably taking the corner, not the safety. But because De'Ami Brown looked like a guy that needed more work, he looked exactly like I thought he was going to look, which is why I said I don't want to be counting on De'Ami Brown production. Same thing I said about AGG. Like, there's guys that you know come in and they're ready, and then there's dudes that you like, hey, he going to need a little bit of time. I need y'all to have patience. I need y'all to give this man grace and mercy because he's not going to come in here and tear the league a new asshole and come out the blocks, you know, hauling ass. He going to stumble a little bit out of the blocks. He going to need a little bit of work. He's going to need a little bit of time, and I ask that y'all are patient with him. And I saw that. AGG was raw coming out of Liberty, 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 Liberty. And De'Ami Brown was a one-trick pony. Remember, he even said at his pro day, I'm trying to show people that I'm more than just a deep threat. You can't show nobody that shit at no pro day. Who checking you? Who guarding you? Okay? You can't show me that you are a route runner at your pro day. Ain't nobody checking you. You are a one-trick pony until you start doing this against guys that actually want to tear your head off. So I knew De'Ami was raw, which is why I said I need him to be an afterthought. I need this offense to be more centered around Terry and Curtis and Logan Thomas and Cam Sims. And then when you forget about De'Ami's speed, all of a sudden we throw him in there against some helpless slot or somebody's safety, and he blows by him and we get you on a 67-yarder. That's what he was supposed to be last year. We were relying on De'Ami in week 2 versus the Giants. Like, hey, De'Ami, I need it. That ain't the way to live. So this year, I'm like, yo, we got to have it. You know, if De'Ami would have came in and he was doing boys dirty last year and he had 826 receiving on 56 grabs last season, we ain't even having this conversation about a receiver. But because they looking at him out the side of their eye like, hey, I ain't too sure about this young fellow over here. I ain't too sure about him. I still got confidence in him, but I ain't too sure. Let's just make sure we get this thing right. You got to take the receiver. You know, and being that we drafted Benjamin St. Juste, again, the concussions scare me, right? They scare me. But because we drafted him last year and he played so well when he was healthy, I don't think you have to take corner right away. I told you, for me, it's not even boundary corner that's the problem. It's nickel for me, you know? But I just don't see them taking – I'm not passing on Olave, personally. I'm taking Olave at 11. And I think they are too. Chilled Dude, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, which team is most likely to trade up to 11? It's impossible to say that right now. It's impossible to say what team is going to do what, because you got to see how the draft unfolds, right? In order to be able to make a statement like that, you got to know what's available. You got to know what the teams behind us are looking to do, how desperate they are. The only team behind us that I know, well, two teams actually, only two teams behind us, I know for a fact that they're going to take a specific position. The Steelers are taking a quarterback, okay? Now, could the Steelers be desperate enough to come up to 11 and draft Malik Willis? Sure, but highly unlikely. You know, this is, again, this is crazy because we sat here, we shitted on the quarterback position in this year's draft class. Oh, this is not the year to need a quarterback. And still, 40 some bitches going in the first round. Four of them going in the first round. Watch what happens. Four gonna go in the first round because that's what we do, quarterback position. And with that said, maybe a team like Pittsburgh gets antsy. The guy that they really want may not be there at 20 when they're on the board, and they may decide, I got to do something. I got to act like the Bears did last year. They were sitting there at 20. They needed a guy. What did they do? They traded up to 11. Okay. We're hoping that some of you, I can't say we, I won't speak for any of you out there. I'm not hoping that somebody comes and takes 11 off our hands. I'm not asking for that. If it happens, I'm cool with it. You know, you cool? Cool. I'm cool with it. But that's not what I'm out here after. You know, I want talent. I've already told you guys, I want the best player available. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of having just dudes, you know. I'm tired of being the squad where we look up at Pro Bowlers and we got one dude, you know, one dude to save our ass from not having zero. You know, in the past, it was Brandon Sheriff. He's no longer here. Okay. Jonathan Allen made it last year, but there's no more Brandon Sheriff on the offensive line. So you're not going to have anybody on offense. If we don't, you know, we need to draft a dude that's threatening to be a Pro Bowler. We got Terry. That's it. We don't have anybody else that's threatening to be a Pro Bowler right now. I'm sick and tired of just having dudes, you know, and they just along for the ride. We need guys that if they need to, they can get behind the wheel and drive. So I'm looking to get one of those at 11. I already said, when you draft in the top 15, it means you stink. You earn the right to get you a blue chip player. Don't pass that opportunity up just for the sake of saying, I want some more red and white chip players. Okay. Don't pass up an opportunity to get a blue for a couple of reds and a white. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not smart. Get the blue chip. Worry about the rest later. So I can see the Steelers wanting to come up and get their quarterback, knock that out, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Honestly, we'll see. David Heath, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy David writes, Cole played middle linebacker at UNC. He did. We talked about that. He says, and was good at it, by the way. My Tar Heels whooped that trick Duke that made my season. He was really good, which is what, you know, what Jay Gruden talked about remember, Cole Holcomb's a Jay Gruden guy. You know, Matt Ioannidis was a Jay Gruden guy. So we know Cole Holcomb can play middle linebacker, which is what I thought they were going to try him out at when they got him. And for whatever reason, they didn't put him at middle linebacker. So I told you guys we could do a hell of a lot worse than Cole Holcomb at middle linebacker. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to see Cole at middle linebacker because they want something new. You know, everybody want the new shiny toy. They want something different. They want something new. And so it's easier to be like, nah, Cole fine at strong side. Like, we don't need Cole at middle linebacker. Let's draft one of these dudes. Everybody wants something new. I'm cool with it because, I mean, how often is it that we put 3 linebackers on the field? Let's keep it a buck with ourselves. Like, all of y'all, we all gung-ho out here talking about middle linebacker and drafting one. How often are we actually in our base? Because I can tell you, there were a lot of games where we were only putting, 2 linebackers on the field, and you're in your nickel or you're in your dime, and it's 1 linebacker on the field or it's 2 linebackers on the field. We're in that a lot more than we are our base with 3 linebackers on the field. So to me, if they decided to go in a different direction than linebacker altogether, I'd be fine with that because we don't play a lot of base. We're not in 4-3 very often, and in today's NFL, you're not going to play against a lot of teams that are going to force you to be in base. Most teams are going to force you out of your base look. They're going to have 3 receivers on the field with a tight end. They're going to have 4 wide receivers on the field with a tight end. They're going to have 2 running backs on the field with 3 receivers. They're going to have 2 backs and 2 receivers and 1 tight end. And those 2 backs aren't a fullback and a running back, but rather 2 guys that can catch the football out of the backfield. The next thing you know, they shift. They start out with 2 guys in the backfield. They shift, and now they got an empty set, and you got 3 linebackers on the field. Somebody's in trouble. So in order to, put yourself in a better position, I just feel like maybe corner or safety, offensive line is the way to go in the second round. We'll see. I'm not opposed to Cole at middle linebacker like some of you out there. I'll say that. If we don't draft a linebacker, I wouldn't be upset in the least, especially if they spent it at a position that I felt like was necessary and we got a quality football player like we did last year in the second round when we got the tackle out of Texas. Damn, why is his name escaping me? I can see his big ass head and his beard and everything. I don't know why I can't think of his damn name, but Sam Cosmi. When we got Sam Cosmi, that was a hell of a pick. When he was healthy, he was outstanding last year. If he can stay healthy, I think we got us a good one. So if we go that route again, offensive line in the second round, I wouldn't be mad at that. Not at all. We'll see. Got another super chat here from Eric DeBose. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Eric writes, "Hey Lou, what's up, Eric?" Says, "What is the chance we re-sign Landon at a cheaper deal? Heard it's possible. Also, shouldn't use the first pick on a receiver. Re-sign Carter." Okay. I don't agree with your final statement or your second to last. Re-sign Carter, I have no problems doing that. But again, how many receivers do you truly now in your scenario? Carter makes it 6, and you don't need any more receivers. All right. In my scenario, we need another receiver, and Carter isn't it because I like what Carter brought to the table. But again, Carter isn't a needle mover. He's not a game changer, and maybe Curtis Samuel will turn out to be that for us. But you know what's better than 1 game changer? 2. You know what's better than 2 game changers at receiver? 3. You know what? I mean, it's tough when you got 3 of them things. The Buffalo Bills are hard to stop. Why? Josh Allen is that dude. That it starts with Josh Allen, right? But you know what makes the Bills impossible to stop is because, and they're gonna get another dude, trust me, because they moved on from Cole Beasley, and even Isaiah McKenzie will jump up and bite your ass. He was the equivalent of DeAndre Carter for us, but I think even better, right? But the reason the Bills are so hard to stop because Stephon Diggs can bless you. If it ain't Diggs, then it's Cole Beasley. If it ain't Cole Beasley, then it was the young fella from UCF. Why am I blanking on his name again? I can see Gabe Davis. All right, so you can get got by anybody. And same thing with the Bengals. It's Jamar Chase today. Tomorrow it's Tyler Boyd, and then the next week it's T. Higgins. Like you can get blessed by anybody. The elite offenses that really move the needle, they got more than 1 dude or 2 dudes you can go to. If the first option ain't there, the second option ain't there, the third option is just as viable and will bite your ass. And that's what made Dallas so nasty offensively is, okay, it could be Amari Cooper. If it ain't Amari Cooper, it's CeeDee Lamb. If it ain't CeeDee Lamb, it's Michael Gallup. If it ain't Michael Gallup, it's Cedric Wilson. I mean, I can keep going, right? Like, that's what you want. You want that depth that, you want to take this dude away? Okay, then get you some of this dude. If you want to take this dude away, okay, get you some of this dude. Like, the offense is like San Francisco. That shit isn't sustainable. When Deebo Samuel is 97% of your offense and the other 3% is George Kittle, that shit is not sustainable, right? So, like, you don't want to put yourself in that position. A.J. Brown can't be 75% of your offense and the other 25 is Derrick Henry. That puts you in a bind. You're in trouble. If one of those dudes gets hurt or they take that guy out of the game, you're in trouble. You want it to be where, hey, be my guest. If you want to try to bracket Terry, then you're going to get blessed over here with Curtis Samuel. You want to, like, that's how the Chiefs had it for years. You want to take out Tyreek Hill? All right, Travis Kelce going to get you. You want to take away Kelce and Hill? That's when they had Samuel Watkins. You couldn't stop him. Because you can't, it's hard to stop an offense that has 3 weapons. It's hard. You can stop an offense that has 1. You can slow down an offense with 2. You cannot stop an offense that has 3. If they've got a guy that can get the football to those weapons, you can't stop an offense with 3 dudes. The best way to stop that offense is to get to the quarterback and never let him throw it. So that's what I'm trying to build over here, man. You know, DeAndre Carter doesn't move the needle. If Terry's that guy we think he is, and Curtis ends up being that guy that we think he could be, you still don't have another dude. You know, maybe Diami morphs into that. You can't assume that after what you saw in his rookie season. You can't assume that. So why not get you another dude? That's how I feel about that. About re-signing Landon, I don't know. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. He hasn't signed yet. I mean, that's a clear indication that he's not, a hot commodity around the league. So could there be mutual interest between Landon wanted to stay here? Let's get that straight first and foremost. He didn't want to leave. He was willing to restructure so he could stay. So the fact that he wanted to restructure so he could stay means that he wanted to stay here and we wanted him here, or we would have just flat out cut him without asking him would he restructure. So there's mutual interest between the two parties. But once we came to Landon asking him to take that second pay cut, he was like, man, I can get more out on the streets. Well, he hasn't gotten that yet. And so maybe, just maybe, we come back and say, hey, Landon, I still got this deal over here for you, man. I mean, it ain't much, but it beats poor. You ain't got shit right now on the table. Maybe he says, you know what? You're right. I want to come back home. So I'm pretty sure it could happen. The likelihood is he'll latch on somewhere else. That's the likelihood. But never say never. Let's see. Got another super chat here. 1/6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Lou, did you hear Trey McBride ran a 4.56 late first? Nope. No tight end is going in the first round in this draft. That includes Trey McBride. I'm shocked he ran a 4.56. I actually don't even believe he ran a 4.56. But good for him, Still don't think any first round tight ends in this draft. I still think that the UCLA tight end Dulcich will be the first tight end taken. And I think Trey McBride with that 4.56 enters that conversation. He could easily be the first tight end now, if that's legit. But that's not what you saw on tape. Nobody watched Trey McBride tape and said, oh, that matches what I saw on tape, 4.56. That sounds about right. If you told me that the likely kid out of Coastal Carolina ran a 4.56, I'd believe that, which is why I was shocked he didn't run at the combine. But maybe he's not as fast as I thought. But Trey McBride doesn't look like a 4.56. And there are certain guys that when you watch them on tape, you don't often see the speed that they showcased running in a straight line. And to me, that's why sometimes speed is overrated, because Trey McBride is more likely than not, if he ran a 4.56, if that's legit. Now, let's just assume that that's legit. I don't believe it, but let's just assume that that's legit. if he ran a 4.56, that means he's a build-up speed guy. That means he needs a runway. He needs 6 to 7 yards of real estate to build up that speed before he actually gets to top speed. That means he can't hesitate. He can't stop, can't change directions, because then it's going to force him to start all over again for him to get back to that top speed, which is why acceleration to me is such a big one, because I want guys that can get to top speed in 3 steps, you know, and now they're moving, and now they got to step on you and you can't catch up. Trey McBride doesn't separate, and I didn't see him separating vertically. I didn't see him separating short underneath when he's running a stick route or he's running an out route. I just don't see the separation. I don't see a 4.56. You know, I was watching, you know, Khalil Shakur on tape from Boise State. He ran a 4.41, I think. I don't see 4.41 on him consistently on tape. He doesn't play at that speed. That's why a lot of people were surprised when he ran that time, because you don't see that on tape. I don't see that from Trey McBride. So it doesn't really change my feeling on him, because I see the play speed. I see what he is. He ain't playing at a 4.56. That doesn't mean he's not a good football player and he can't help. That means that if you're drafting him solely, if you're upping him on your board solely off of that 40 time, you're making a mistake, because that's not his play speed. Clumsy Jedi 26. Stand up. You are officially in the building as the newest member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Mob, you know what to do. Show Clumsy Jedi 26 some love. Welcome him aboard. You won't be sorry. We had a great discussion about the wide receiver position. Look forward to having you be a part of the discussion next week when we tackle the linebacker position. Clumsy Jedi 26, welcome to the squad. All right. See what else we got. Got a super chat here from Joseph's Journey. Thank you for the super chat, Joseph's Journey, who writes, playoff win equals Ron was a success. Wentz too? Facts? Question mark. A playoff win would equal Ron was a massive success. We haven't won a playoff game since 2005. So a playoff win would mean Ron was right about Wentz and Ron is not going anywhere. Like, he wins a playoff game. Like, this is how bad off we've been and how desperate we are. He wins a playoff game. Doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter if it's 6-3, if it's 10-9. He wins a playoff game. He might get an extension right off the bat. Like, we're that thirsty for a winner, man. Like, we're in that conversation that you never want to be in. When they start putting up longest playoff win droughts, like, you don't want to be on lists like that, right? I don't know if we're on that list yet, because that list usually is like 5 teams. Like the teams that are the 5 highest on the list. I imagine that we're somewhere in that top 5 of teams with the longest playoff droughts, because I know Detroit's got to be up there, right? They haven't won a playoff game in ages. Jacksonville just won one in 2017, so they're not on the list. Carolina won a playoff game in 2015, so they're not on the list. The Texans just won a playoff game 2 years ago. They're not on the list. So, I mean, all the teams you think about that are garbage. The Browns just won a playoff game, 2 years ago. They're not on the list. I mean, it can't be but so many teams, Detroit's on that list for sure. I think we're on that list. The Raiders were on that list. They hadn't won a game since 2002. Well, they're still on that list. They lost to the Bengals. So that's good. They haven't won a playoff game in ages, have the Raiders. So they're on that list. They're a little bit further behind. They're with the Lions. Let's see. I said all of that to say this. I can't sit here and go through the list in my head, but we got to be on it. If Ron takes us off of that list, yeah, he's that's a big win for him and Wentz. So yeah, that's a massive win. To say Ron is a success because he won a playoff game, it would be saying that no matter what happens thereafter, like anything that he wins a Super Bowl, he's a success. right? That like nothing, no matter what he does prior or after that, he won a Super Bowl. He brought a Lombardi back to DC. Winning a playoff game, I can't say that his entire tenure was a success if he won a playoff game. I can say that he's trending in the right direction, but it would go a long way. You would feel a lot better about Ron if we won a playoff game. That's for sure. Let's see. KP Flex, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, what's your comp for Traquan Thornton? I didn't get to him yet. I did not get to him. He is on my list of my next 3 guys that I have to get to. There are 2 guys ahead of him that I have to get to, and he's the 3rd on the list. So I don't have a comp for you for him right now. But I tell you what, next week on the show, because I'm going to take a look at Traquan Thornton probably tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow. I tell you what I'll do. Next week, just remind me, and I'll tell you who my comp is for him, because I'll have one for you, but I don't have one right now. Thank you for the super chat, KP Flex. Chilled Dude, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chilled Dude, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, this is make or break year for our front office. I can't say make or break. It's going to go, again, much like this Wentz deal for Ron, it's going to go a long way in determining his fate. It's not the end-all, be-all. Ron can bounce back from Carson Wentz being average and then moving on from him. It's going to sting, and it's going to leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, including the owner. But a lot of fans will be jumping all over Ron if this doesn't work as well. But if Ron turns around next year, we draft a quarterback and he turns out to be a stud, do you care about Carson Wentz not working out? Yeah, it sucks. We gave up a 3 and a 2 more likely than not, and $28 million that hurt us and forced us to release 3 or 4 dudes that we didn't want to. But if he gets the quarterback position, that's all we care about at this point. Just get the quarterback position right, man. We'll figure out everything else later. Just get the quarterback position right. You get that right, and it gives us a chance immediately. So, is this a make or break year for the front office? I think it goes a long way in shaping their future here in Washington, but I can't say it's make or break. It's only year 2 for the front office. It's rare that the second year is make or break for a front office, but I can tell you this much. I'm putting a lot of stock into this year because they weren't here all last year. They were just kind of getting here on the fly. And so they got comfortable. They got settled in. They know this roster. They know what we need. Nope, they don't have a ton of resources. This is when I find out it's easy to have a great offseason when you got a bunch of cap space, a bunch of draft picks. It's easy to go out and kill it. That's what we had last year. We had a bunch of cap space. We had a bunch of draft capital. It's easy to go out. And I didn't think we killed it last year. We thought we were killing it when we got Curtis Samuel and we got William Jackson III. Some of you loved the Ryan Fitzpatrick pickup. I did not. But, I felt really good about the other 2. I felt really good. And then the draft, I felt good about Cosme. I was, wait and see approach on Jamin Davis. I liked De'Ami Brown. I did not love De'Ami Brown. And I was not the biggest fan of Benjamin St. Juste, so I didn't necessarily love our draft. I thought it was okay. I really liked John Bates a lot. I still like John Bates a lot. But I didn't love our draft necessarily last year. This year, you got a lot less resources to work with. Carson Wentz zapped our entire cap situation. And you'll pick up some bucks post June 1 when Landon Collins' money hits the books. But you didn't have as much money to work with, so you had to get creative there. I didn't have any problems with anything that was done, including releasing Matt Ioannidis and guard Eric Flowers. I didn't have any problems with anything that we've done. I didn't love having to release those guys, Landon Collins included, but I understood what we did. We did what we had to do. But now I want to see what you do with these draft picks. You got 6. That's it. Make them count. You can't afford to whiff on 4 of the 6. You could afford to whiff on 4 out of 10 last year. All right, because you still had 6 other draft picks. You can't whiff on 4 of them this year. And truth be told, 3 of them are in the final 2 rounds. You got 2 in the 7th, 1 in the 6th. I need one of those to hit. And I'm not talking about a starter. I need one of those dudes to be at least a core special teamer. I can need you to hit on one of those, right? Maybe 2. You got 6. Make them count. So this is a big offseason, but to say it's make or break, like they can't bounce back after this year if they take a misstep, again, as long as Ron's here, they have a chance to redeem themselves. Let's say the Carson Wentz deal doesn't go the way you wanted it to. It wasn't ideal how it turned out. You move on from Wentz. Next year, you trade up to 2, and you end up getting Bryce Young. I know some of y'all don't love Bryce Young, because C.J. Stroud, he's a bigger, thicker quarterback. Usually teams like to go with the bigger dude over the smaller guy. But Baker Mayfield went number 1 overall. He was the smaller quarterback. We'll see. But let's say C.J. Stroud goes 1, and we trade up to 2, and we get Bryce Young. And Bryce Young turns out to be a stud. I mean, just carving up teams in his rookie year. Was this make or break year? Did it break this front office? Nah. So, like I said, there'll still be time. As long as Ron is still employed and these dudes still have jobs, they'll have a chance to redeem themselves. But again, if it doesn't work out this year, it'll be a step towards them being on their way out. Like Ron already acknowledged, this is a big year for me. Ron, and you could tell because he was desperate. He acted as if this was he made this year bigger than what it had to be. He made it a big year. So now, yeah, people are putting a lot of emphasis on this year because you went out here and told everybody that would listen, we need a quarterback. And you did everything in your power to go get one. So we'll see what happens. J. Kurt 20. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Ron and company have to nail this draft. No raw players, no could-be players. We need right now immediate impact players. Well, again, we only have 2 impact now type of draft picks. You can't expect a 4th round pick to come in here and make it happen and make an impact and make a dent right away. That's not the expectation of a 4th round pick. You would like your 4th round pick to not only make your football team, but to have an impact. But that's not a guarantee. We don't have a 3rd round pick. I look at 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounders. Those first 2 days, those are dudes that I'm expecting to have an impact year 1, right? Now, to what degree? They're varying degrees. My 1st round pick, I need that dude to have an impact day 1. We didn't get that out of Jamin Davis last year. My 2nd round pick, he may not have an impact day 1. I would like him to because, 2nd round picks are the new 1st round picks. But I would like him to. But if he doesn't, but let's say he starts really getting it in week 5 or 6. Okay, cool. I need my 2nd round pick to have an impact, though, relatively early in the season. That 3rd round pick, he might not be a starter for the first half of the season, but week 9, he jump in there and he ready to hit the ground running, and we like what we see, and we realize we got us a ball player. We got that out of Juice, and we got that out of Sam Cosmi in the 2nd round last year. Sam Cosmi was really good in week 1. I think he was good in week 2. He got injured in week 3, I think. And then, you started to see a little downturn from him. And then when he came back, he was healthy. He was really good again. That's what I need for my 2nd round pick. I really need an impact player. We got a 4th rounder and a 6th and 2 7s. Like, I don't really know what you're really looking for out of those final 3 picks, a 6 and 2 7s. Hell, even a 4th is, depending on, what's available, what you decide to do, it's hit or miss, man. Those first 2, they got to be impact players, though. Those are the 2 I'm looking at and say, hey, you better not F this up. You better not miss with these first 2. CJ Shoots Photo. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I don't trust Marty Hurney and Martin Mayhew to have a good draft. They haven't given us a reason to believe in them. Jury's still out, but hopeful. I trust Marty Hurney more than I trust Martin Mayhew. Marty Hurney has an eye for talent. I like what he did and assembled in Carolina. I don't have that same warm and fuzzy feeling with Martin Mayhew. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to everybody involved. I've taken into consideration what you've done in the past, but really what I care about and what I've learned as a Washington fan is I don't care what you did elsewhere. I only care about what you can do for us here. You know, too many times we've gotten excited about guys because of what they've done elsewhere, and then we get them and they don't do shit here. So as far as I'm concerned, whether you were garbage in your last stop or you were a beast at your last stop, I don't care. What you going to do for us? You know, it's a Janet Jackson league. What have you done for me lately? Do, 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 do. Ooh, yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, neither one of these dudes have done anything for us yet. So as you mentioned, the jury's still out. But I told you, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. So let's see what they do. Mr. Ron B. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mr. Ron B writes, if Olave and other top-rated wide receivers are off the board at 11, what's your take on Clemson wide receiver Justin Ross as a day 2 or 3 selection? I look at Justin Ross as a day 3 type of wide receiver. Now, again, depending on how quickly that supply runs out, because, you know, we were talking on the Mob Squad, on Squad Up earlier when we were talking about receivers. And, you know, there was a scenario posed, you know, by the Mob where you could see 9 or 10 receivers come off the board in the first round. And when you think about it, and I'm not going to get into the discussion that we had, you know, but when you think about it, it's not that far-fetched. So you start digging into the crate and you get 9 or 10 of those boys off the board in the first round, and then you turn around and there's another 7 or 8 gone in the second round. Justin Ross starts to become a reality in the third round. But I think if this thing gets spread out like I think it will, Justin Ross is a third-day pick. And so, truth be told, I don't want any parts of Justin Ross. Like, if you draft Justin Ross, it's like drafting De'Ami Brown. Like, we're not in it to draft another dude that needs work. We're drafting a dude that is ready to come in and help right now. Not now, right now. Justin Ross is a dude that needs work. He would have to come in here and he'd have to put in work to get better. And then you would see those dividends 2-3 years down the road. That's not where we at with ours right now. We need a dude that's going to come in here and help us right now. And so if the top rated receivers are off the board at 11, then you go back after it at 47, if you ask me. And it's no hesitation. It's no delay. All right, who's left? Is George Pickens left? Is Christian Watson left? Even though I don't think Christian Watson is a great fit here, but is he left? You know, you start looking around the board and you see what's available. Is Sky Moore left? Like, what do we have to choose from? All right. That's when you start assessing the situation, you know. But I don't look at Justin Ross as an answer to our dilemma right now. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Ron B. Jordan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, I have no problem sacrificing the first 4 games rolling with Terry and Curtis while Jameson Williams gets healthy. We know he's the best receiver, if not for the ACL. Long-term success greater than immediate gratification. While that's true, you're not the only person that thinks that way. The Jets, you know, and other teams that are in the top 10, like the Falcons like, hey, we stink anyway. We got Marcus Mariota at quarterback. We could give 2 shits about Jameson Williams missing the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. As far as we're concerned, if he's the best receiver and he's available at the Falcons pick, the Falcons are like, yeah, we need a receiver. You saw what Calvin Ridley just did. We need a receiver. We don't have shit at receiver. Even if Calvin Ridley comes back, we still ain't sure he's a true number 1 anyway. So you think the Falcons aren't looking at Jameson Williams and saying, yeah, we'll take him? You think the Jets aren't looking at Jameson Williams and thinking the same thing? Like, we're not the only team that's looking at Jameson Williams and thinking, hey, if he's healthy, he's the best receiver in the draft. So, you know, why not just take him? Because, yeah, it's an ACL, and that sucks because once you tear it once, you're susceptible to tearing it again. But, you know, with modern science and technology, these dudes are coming back faster than ever, stronger, faster than ever. So the likelihood is he'll come back and he'll be Same old Jameson. And if he is, then you got yourself a potential steal, depending on where he goes. So while that's an intriguing proposition, should he be available at 11, which is not a guarantee right now, but should he be available, while that's an interesting proposition, with the luck or lack thereof we've had with injured players that, you think you're getting a deal on, like Bryce Love, for instance, we haven't had any success with that. We don't seem to benefit from getting a deal on a guy that should have been drafted higher, but because he's injured, we're going to take him. We don't seem to reap the benefits of that. So I don't want to say just because of what has happened in the past, we shouldn't take a guy like Jameson Williams, but we don't even know what the hell our training staff looks like right now, our medical staff. Like, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, personally. We'll see. Edward Washington, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, wide receiver position was disappointing last year. Bengals had needs, but got wide receiver. We should do the same. Top-notch weapons will cover up other faults. And that's sort of what I was hinting at earlier when I said, look, wide receiver isn't actually the biggest need. Go back to the draft last year for Cincinnati, since Edward brought that up, and that's a great point, Edward. You talk to any Bengals fan, they'll tell you that tackle was the bigger need. We need tackle. We need to protect Joe Burrow. His season was ended with Jonathan Allen falling into his knee. We need to protect our quarterback. We got receivers. We got T. Higgins. We spent the second-round pick on him. We got Tyler Boyd. We're fine at receiver. We can get by. And the Bengals said, we got Jonah Williams coming back from injury. We got a tackle. We'll go out here. We'll go get a tackle. We'll be fine at tackle. But these Jamar Chase things, these don't grow on trees right here, man. We need to get us one of these. It'll properly slot all the rest of our receivers too. And it did. And to me, that's the quickest way. And look, let's not gloss over the fact that the Bengals did an overhaul on their defense too. Like, it wasn't just Joe Burrow on the offense that got better. That defense got exponentially better. Trey Hendrickson had like 16 sacks last year. They got him as a free agent. I keep talking about Mike Hilton because I love Mike Hilton. He was a stud for them in the nickel. Larry Ogunjobi had 7.5 sacks as a defensive tackle that they signed in free agency. Like, they had dudes that came in there and ate well as free agent acquisitions defensively for them. So I don't want to just say that Jamar Chase is the only thing that helped them get better, but he was a huge part of why the Bengals made it all the way to the Super Bowl after, being one of the worst teams in football the year prior. So yes, that helps, but also getting Joe Burrow back and healthy helps a hell of a lot as well. So we'll see what happens. 1/6 Devil Doc, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Who writes, Lou, where would you put Christian Watson on your wide receiver rankings? He's 9th. Christian Watson is 9th on my wide receiver rankings right now. Edward Washington, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Edward, who writes, upgrade at quarterback plus easier schedule should equal 9 to 10 wins. Ron on a hot seat if we are a 7-win team again? ? That's the presumption right now, is that if we can't up the total, we had Taylor Heineke, a brutal schedule, a defense that was underachieving, injuries galore, and we still won 7 games last year with COVID ravaging our season when we got hot. If all of those things were against us last year and we still won 7 games, and presumably got a better quarterback situation, we should be much healthier this year. We got upgraded skill positions, much easier schedule. We don't know what the hell the schedule is going to be like, but we can say this right off the bat. It ain't the quarterbacks that we face this year pale in comparison to what we faced last year. But even the quarterbacks that we faced last year and those teams, some of them weren't as good as we thought they were going to be. We thought Tampa Bay was going to kick our ass. We beat Tampa Bay. We looked at Derek Carr and the Raiders on the road late in the season like that. That's not going to be easy. We won that game. We said Russell Wilson on Monday night. We won that game. You know what I'm saying? We went to Lambeau and had every opportunity to beat Green Bay and failed to do so. So, Patrick Mahomes, we were winning that game at halftime. Mahomes was terrible in the first half of that game. So, the only quarterback that really tore, two of them, but the first one didn't show up on the stat sheet. The only one of those quarterbacks that really, truly tore us a new asshole was Josh Allen. We got our ass whooped in that game. Justin Herbert destroyed us, but they only scored 20 points. Now, you could easily say they had 2 red zone turnovers, and that's why they didn't score, 30-something. And that's why that game wasn't a blowout, because they dominated us, and he killed us on third downs in that game. But we forced a fumble, which I don't know if it was really a fumble. And then, William Jackson III had the pick in the red zone. So, really, the quarterback thing, even last year, wasn't as daunting as we thought it was going to be. We'll see what the schedule holds. I don't like to play the schedule game. You guys know that, because you think the Bears are going to be trash, and then Justin Fields, with this new head coach and a new coordinator, gets his shit together, and all of a sudden the Bears are formidable, or Kirk Cousins with a new head coach, new GM, new weapons, all of a sudden they're rejuvenated. You think the schedule is easy. I don't know who we're playing. I'm just throwing out random teams. I think we got Jacksonville on our schedule. And what if Trevor Lawrence, I think the best thing that could happen to Trevor Lawrence was getting Doug Peterson as his head coach. What if they're nasty next year? We don't know who's good. Anyway, assuming the schedule is easier and we've upgraded some of the most pivotal positions on our squad and we stay relatively healthy, which, again, can't really say that that's going to happen either. Yeah, you would like to think that we should be able to do better than 7 wins. I've made the case already for why we should win 9, 10, 11 games next season. But I can make all the cases in the world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean a thing. You still got to go out and execute. So, yeah, we should win more games this year. I think that's a safe assumption to make. Vegas doesn't think so. I think Vegas has us at 7.5, right? So Vegas still thinks we're going to suck. Okay. Let's prove them wrong. CJ Shoots Photo. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, CJ Shoots Photo. And to close that one, yeah, Ron would be in a tough spot. It would not look good on him. But again, if Carson Wentz doesn't succeed, it doesn't look good. Doesn't mean it's the end all be all. Doesn't mean he's getting canned at the end of the season, but puts him in a tough spot. CJ Shoots Photo writes, I don't expect much from our defense. Until we truly address middle linebacker and free safety, we will continue to have holes. Our offseason is not complete yet, but not buying yet. Cole Holcomb may be the answer at middle linebacker. So I'm not willing to dismiss that as an option. Free safety, they love Bobby McCain. You know how I feel about Bobby McCain. He did play better the back end of the schedule, but I am still of the mindset that Bobby McCain leaves some meat on the bone at the free safety position and that you can do better. But I've already told you what Ron's frame of mind is when it comes to the safety position. Bobby McCain is the exact type of guy that Ron Rivera chooses to roll with at safety. That's been proven. If you go back in the archives, and I've already done this for you, and talked about the list of safeties that Ron Rivera has employed when he was, or did employ when he was in Carolina, it's never an early draft pick that he's spending on a safety. I think Trey Boston was the only safety that they actually spent draft capital on while he was there. And I think Trey Boston was like a 5th or a 6th round pick. It was Mike Adams as a veteran. It was Roman Harper as a veteran. It was Eric Reed as a veteran. He was a young one. Normally it's the old aging veteran. It was Colin Jones as a backup getting some run at safety. Like, that's the kind of stuff they were doing at the safety position. It wasn't, game changers back there. So I think Ron is perfectly content with rolling with Bobby McCain. So that's going to have to be your address. Like, if you're looking for something stronger than Bobby McCain, I think you're barking up the wrong tree, personally. Old Head Wisdom. Let's see what you got for us, Old Head Wisdom. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, last week someone sent you LouieTeeNetwork. It was a old car Volare commercial. Ron is an honest dude. He said, we got a quarterback. Now we have to protect him and give him weapons. Wide receiver, running back, O-line, and buff Nick. I don't disagree with that. Ron, I told you from the moment he's gotten here, Ron's been a straight shooter for the most part. And that's why I told you when Ron speaks, I tend to listen, because Ron has pretty much worn his emotions on his sleeve, and he said what he's meant, and he's meant what he said. And while that's a good thing for us as fans, because it means Ron is extremely transparent, it also means that everybody else also knows what we're trying to do, what we're up to. And that's not a good thing. So when Ron speaks and he says exactly what you said, we've got a quarterback now, we need to protect him and surround him with weapons, that means more likely than not, we need to draft an offensive lineman. We need to get him a tight end. We need to get him a wide receiver. I don't necessarily know if running back is at the top of Ron's list or even remotely close to the top of his list, but I do think that those other 3 positions I just mentioned, offensive line, wide receiver, and tight end, are of significant priority for Ron. So I expect them to attack those. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if it went wide receiver round 1, offensive lineman round 2, tight end round 4. Wouldn't be shocked at all. And that was our first 3 picks. And then they decided we'll go with a couple of defenders, a safety, a corner, and a defensive tackle. Because remember, we're really thin at D tackle. So it wouldn't shock me if they said, wide receiver, offensive lineman, tight end. Then 6th round, defensive tackle. 7th round, safety, 7th round corner. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. Brendan McCloskey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Brendan writes, I'm seriously looking to trade Payne for some more picks. I'm open to that as well. Here's the problem. Who you got? Because if you trade Payne, we already don't have Ioannidis. We already don't have Tim Settle. Who are you starting? You just going to draft somebody to replace him? You don't know if that guy's going to be any good. Like, you can't move on from Daron Payne until you have the replacement in-house already. We don't currently have that guy. We have 0 depth at defensive tackle. Now, I'm pretty sure you talked to Ron and company. There's a couple of guys on the roster that they already like, right? So, I've already talked about Daniel Wise as a guy that I know they like, David Bada is another guy that we know they like. I don't love any of those dudes. We have no depth. As far as I'm concerned, we have zero depth at defensive tackle right now. God forbid anything happens to either one of those dudes of our Bama wall. We are in trouble. So, needless to say, trading Payne, while that may sound like a good idea, it in theory sounds like a good idea. When you actually get to the brass and tacks of that situation, it is probably the single worst thing we could do right now. And oh, by the way, he is the best run defender that we have. So I wouldn't do that right now. Chilled Dude, thank you for becoming a member. You were already a member. You were chopping it up with us earlier today. So I don't even know what that's about. Maybe you upgraded. It would have said upgraded, though, I think. Either way, Chill Dude, stand up. Whatever the case may be. You know what it is. You already in the building. All right? Mob, you know what to do to Chill Dude. Even though something's fishy there. Chill Dude was already chopping it up with me earlier tonight when we were talking receivers. Whatever. Chill Dude. Welcome to the squad. Whatever the case may be. Glad to have you. Don't leave. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, trade 11 for 17 with Bolts, still get Olave and a third. You are extremely, extremely hopeful, huh? Like, you live in some kind of imaginary fantasy world where the Eagles don't take Olave or, somebody in front of us. You trade back to 17, you're allowing multiple teams that need receivers to take Chris Olave. There's no way he's still there at 17. I bet any amount of money. Eagles still have the 15th pick, if I'm not mistaken. So, trading back, Eagles would pounce all over him. You'd get a receiver if you wanted one. His name wouldn't be Chris Olave. That's all. Gearcell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Gearcell writes, Louie T, you're the man. Thank you, Gearcell. Greatly appreciate you as well. After a long pause, starting to feel the Wentz trade. Just saw Dan Snyder at the gym wearing lime green bodysuit with some platform Timberlands. Tragic. Ron's plan back in focus. It's always good to have you back on board, man. Dan Snyder at the gym with lime green bodysuit and platform Timbs. That is tragic. What is also tragic is if this Carson Wentz trade doesn't work and we're back to square one at the quarterback position. Because we already know what's going to happen if it doesn't work, right? He's going to end up being, we're going to be middle of the road. We're going to be 17, 18, 16 at worst. We're going to win 7, 8 games, middle of the pack. And again, we don't have the draft capital, to entice someone to give up. Now, I mean, you can give up future assets, clearly, to get up to 2. But you don't have the draft capital necessary to entice someone to give up the second pick in the draft. Because if Jacksonville's sitting there with the number 2 pick next year and they're sold on Trevor Lawrence, he's not the problem. For whatever reason, they stunk and they got the number 2 pick again. They got their guy, though. So they're open for business at 2. And the Eagles are like, yo, Jalen Hurts was funky this year. But guess what? I got 18 firsts. I have multiple seconds. I got everything you need to come up off of number 2. You can't compete with that. So, yeah. Dan at the gym looking tragic is comical, but this Carson Wentz shit better work. And I came around to it last week. I talked about that because I told you it was never about his physical gifts. It's always been about what's between the ears with Carson Wentz. I'm sold on what's in between the ears with Wentz now. Now can he get on the same page? Can we protect him? Can he get on the same page with Scott Turner and these playmakers? Can they stay healthy? Can we protect him and give him time to survey the field and do the things he needs to do instead of having him out here running around trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho? If we can do that, I think we might have something. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Lorenzo Simpson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, if we take Olave, I am to assume we are putting Samuels in the slot. Why not take Sky Moore in the second? Okay. So assuming Sky Moore is available at 47, he would have been more likely to have been available at 42. I know 47 is only 5 spots back, but still backwards, right? That said, I thought about that too when I was watching, because there's a lot of guys in this year's draft class that are more primed for the slot. Guys like Sky, like Khalil Shakir, guys like Calvin Austin. As you watch more and more of these dudes, Jahan Dotson, he could play outside, but he can play inside too. And I get it. And Jahan Dotson is not a second round pick. He's a first round wide receiver. But I mean, there's a bunch of dudes like that. So yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson is another dude you could probably stick in the slot and he'd cause havoc. But are we not sure are we not sure that Curtis Samuel's a slot? And also keep this in mind. We drafted Dax Milne with the assumption that he was going to take over the slot. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But we're assuming Curtis Samuel can play inside. Terry can play inside as well. Like, we want interchangeable parts. Jamar Chase can play inside, just like T. Higgins can play inside, just like Tyler Boyd can play inside. You want your guys to be able to move around because you don't want guys to just be stuck in one spot. But push come to shove, I would like to think that if you draft Chris Olave can play anywhere. He can play inside or outside. Either side. He can play the Z or the X. But I would much rather Chris Olave be, the other wide receiver opposite of Terry, who is going to be your X. So I would love Curtis Samuel to be nothing more than a slot receiver and a gadget guy that we move around and do multiple things with. But again, you want these pieces to be interchangeable. So why not draft Sky Moore? Because you already have two dudes that can play in the slot already, in Curtis Samuel and Dax Milne. That's not what you need, which is why we tried to expedite the growth of De'Ami Brown last year when Curtis Samuel went down, because we had a slot last year in Adam Humphries. So we were already cool with Curtis Samuel staying outside. But when Curtis Samuel went down, instead of us sticking Cam Sims in there, because he was hurt too, we had to stick De'Ami Brown in there. And I don't think he was quite ready for that role yet. So I think that they're thinking more along the lines of, hey, we already got a couple of slots in Dax and Curtis. We need another dude outside to take pressure off of Terry. Gear Cell 1. Stand up. You are officially the newest member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you, Gear Cell 1. Y'all know what to do. Show Gear Cell 1 some love. He's going to crack a couple of jokes, but it's all love. We need it. We need to keep things light in the MOBB. Gear Cell 1, welcome aboard the squad. Glad to have you. Laquan Steele, thank you for becoming a member of the MOBB. Stand up, Laquan. You know what it is. Mob, show some love to Laquan Steele. Show him that he is welcome, that we are glad to have him as the newest member of the MOBB. Welcome to the squad, Laquan Steele. So glad to have you. Chill Dude, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chilled Dude, writes, show Lou some love, hit that like button, and squad up. Y'all know what it is. Y'all heard the man. Run them likes up. It's over 450 of y'all out there, and all I can see is that it's 100 and something likes. There's no reason that I always tell you, I like to be at least 50% of the viewer count in terms of likes. Run the likes up. Run them up. If you haven't hit it already, please bless the kid. Y'all heard him. If y'all want to squad up, squad up. Y'all know where to find us. Appreciate that, Chilled Dude. Martin Matthews, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Martin Matthews, my guy, double M, double up, thank you for doubling up, writes, hey, Louie, what is the compensation if we trade back our second pick? I mean, again, how far back you going? That there's no way of knowing how much compensation you'll receive for moving out of that spot until you get the call. How far back are you moving? How desperate is that team that's coming up? What are they coming up to get? Are they coming up to get a quarterback at 47? Because you can then fleece somebody. You know, if Carson Strong is the last quarterback worth taking and somebody's desperate to get their hands on them, you might be able to extract an extra pick out of somebody for that. But, you know, and if you're moving all the way back to 60th, you're going to get a lot of compensation for that. You know, it's not going to be a future first round pick. They didn't ask you to move out of the second round altogether, but you might be getting a 2 next year and a 3 the following year, or you might be getting a 3 this year and a 2 next year to move back that far. So yeah, it just depends. Like, I'm more interested in moving out of 47 than I am 11. I don't think moving out of 47 is something that they'll do either, but I'm more interested in doing that than 11. At this point, I'm like, I need a blue chipper. You're more likely to get one of those at 11 than you are at 47. But I'm trying to get some serious talent, man. I'm sick of watching games in January and February and then coming back and talking with y'all and y'all saying, hey, our shit don't look nothing like that. Don't you get tired of doing that? When you watch a playoff game in wild card weekend or in the divisional round and you're like, man, we ain't even close. Our shit don't move like that. Our shit don't look like that. I'm sick and tired of saying that. You know, I'm ready to be able to say, hey, we can do that. We got some dogs. We can do that. We can play with these teams. Because our shit looks foreign compared to what we watched in January and into February. Our shit looks foreign. Don't look nothing like what we seeing during the playoffs. Kevin the PRF, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, really want Hamilton or Gardner. Kind of want Lloyd, Dean, Stingley, or Olave. But I can't shake this crush on Lindenbaum. Why do I want Lindenbaum? I don't know. Maybe because you're missing Brandon Sheriff and you just want the immediate fix. That's the only thing I can say. But I don't know why you're fiending over him. Our interior of our offensive line is not completely set, but it's not hurting enough for us to spend the 11th pick on an interior offensive lineman. But again, if that's what they decided to do, I wouldn't love it, but I'd roll with it. You know what I'm saying? But honestly speaking, to me, guard, center, and guard, unlike tackle, center and guard to me are positions where you can get them dudes just about anywhere in the draft, man. Seriously. And get a really quality player that you love. Andrew Norwell was outstanding for the Panthers. He was undrafted. I think you find more undrafted and late round gems on the interior of the offensive line than anywhere else on the football field. You know, Wyatt Teller was I think he was a 6th or 7th round pick of the Buffalo Bills. They traded him to Cleveland, and now the man's one of the best guards in all of football. Like, to me, you don't have to draft a guard extremely high, or a center for that matter. I mean, it's cool because if you do, you might turn out to get Zach Martin or Brandon Sheriff or one of these, you know, or Quentin Nelson or Ryan Kelly. And that's cool too. But for me, I much rather, you know, take my chances rolling the dice on a 4th or 6th round guard and seeing what it materializes into. Maybe nothing, and maybe something, but if you got a coach, and we think we got one in John Masco, you got a coach that you feel like can get the most out of dudes and can coach them up, you shouldn't be spending the 11th pick in the draft on an interior offensive lineman. So we'll see what happens. 1/6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Lou, can you give us your top 12 receiver rankings? Any key info we need to know about some players, such as your number 10 guy has the potential to be an all-pro? So I did that with the MOBB earlier tonight. I got my top. Right now, I got my top, I think 16 or 17. I got my top 16. I'm going to get to probably, like I told the MOBB, I went back for the last 5 drafts and totaled the amount of receivers taken and averaged it out to be about 33 receivers are taken per year in the draft if we're going off of the last 5 years. So roughly, we're going to see anywhere from 30 to 36 receivers probably taken in this draft. That's a rough estimate. But I told them this as well. Of the 33 dudes that get taken in the draft every year at the receiver position, only 4 or 5 of those dudes end up turning out to be studs. And then you might have another 2 or 3 that are really serviceable, quality wide receivers. But most of those dudes don't even make a dent in the league. Okay? So, you know, every year you get people getting excited about a guy that went to Southwestern Illinois State because he's 6'4", ran a 4.41, and he had a 40-inch vertical, but that dude ain't going to be in the league 3 years from now. That dude not even getting drafted, and if he does, is in the 6th or 7th round, and he's not even making the team that he gets drafted by. He's on the practice squad, and 2-3 years from now, he's being bounced around practice squads, just trying to hang on for dear life. That's the journey for most of these receivers. A lot of these dudes aren't going to be household names. So my thing is always, look, don't get fixated on the dude that's 24th on the list of receivers that gets taken in the 4th or 5th or 6th round. Don't waste a ton of time on that guy. You know, don't get caught up on the YouTube video, just bombs, you know, entertainment. Oh, the most slept on receiver, the best receiver you've never heard. And it's 5 minutes of this dude making play after play after play. That dude ain't getting drafted, or he's getting drafted in the 6th or 7th round. And he's out of the league in 2 years. Focus on the dudes that are dogs, that are getting drafted in the first 2 days, maybe in the 4th round. Let that be where you focus the most of your attention. I'm trying to save y'all some time and energy. 20 of these receivers warrant your attention. All right. You start getting into the, you know, Ameza, you know, Ameza, Zekis, and guys like that. I messed his name up from NC State. You start getting into dudes like that. We start talking about Justin Ross and guys like that from Clemson. A lot of those dudes ain't really going, bust a grape in the league. You start getting even further down the list and you start running into random guys. Save yourself the time and effort. A guy that I haven't heard anybody mention because he doesn't run a 4.4. Nobody's talking about David Bell. I haven't had one person say anything about David Bell. You know why? Because David Bell ran a 4.65. So he must not be good. David Bell is going to get drafted higher than a lot of these receivers in this draft. I don't love David Bell because I don't know if he'll be able to consistently separate at the next level. But he's a damn good football player. I do know that. Why can't he be Keenan Allen? I don't think he's that technical of a route runner to be Keenan Allen, but what I'm saying is why he can't be one of these possession receivers that creates a niche for himself in the league. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Anyway, long story short, you're a member of the MOBB. The video is available to you. I did that video, and maybe you were at work or you weren't a member of the Mob Squad yet, whatever the case may be. But I did that video for that specific reason. If I start talking about all the stuff that I had in that video, then it defeats the purpose of them being members of the Mob Squad. So if you want access to that, that's what you need to do. I can just tell you that I can give you I can tell you this. Jameson Williams is my number 1 wide receiver. And Jahan Dotson is my 4th receiver. I can give you that. You want the rest? You got access to the video. You're a mob member. You got access to the video we did tonight. Go check it out. And leave a comment in that video. If you want me, I can list the receivers for you there. Leave a comment in the comment section of that video. I can give you the information you're looking for there. Let's see. By any means, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, by any means, writes, can't wait until Brad Neal comes back and we be Hollywood, them Grizzlies, like we did earlier this season. You mean Brad Beal? Are y'all going? Last time I checked, the Wizards aren't going to the playoffs. Why are you talking to me? I'm the 2nd best record in the NBA. Colton Bogano Jackson. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, CPJ, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, thanks for all you do, Lou. Thank you for all you do, CPJ. Really do appreciate you. He says, the mob is the best community to be a part of with different opinions, but no bad blood. Respect. That's the goal, is that, look, we're not always going to agree. I tell y'all that all the time. We family. We're not always going to agree, but we here for one common goal. We all want the same thing. We may go about it differently, but we all want the same thing. He says, Olave and Scary Terry. Fire. It would be. It would be a trio of Ohio State receivers is what it would be. With Curtis Samuel, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. Chris Olave, and of course, Terry McLaurin. So I'm looking forward to it. Even if that was, Garrett Wilson, I'd be cool with that too. I'm all for it. Dave G. I don't want to jack up your last name. Stand up, Dave. You are officially a part of the MOBB. Glad to have you, squad. You know what to do. Show Dave some love. Really appreciate you joining the squad, Dave. And welcome aboard. Really appreciate you. Looking forward to chopping it up with you. And welcome to the squad. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy JP writes, Lou, my man, we are long overdue for a winner. Let's take this damn division from the Cow Turds and the Dirty Birds, and also take Olave or Stingley at 11. We are long overdue for a winner, JP. Just because you're long overdue something doesn't mean you actually get it. Now, does it? Because if that were the case, we would have been winners a long time ago. A long time ago. We're overdue. Like a library book that was checked out on the first day that hasn't been turned in, and it's the last day of school. We long overdue. All right. However, a lot of things have to fall in place for us to change what has been going on here for a long time. You know, the losing, the woe is me. Hell, we were even fighting each other on the sidelines last season. It got so bad at one point. It's going to take a lot. But the first thing that it's going to take is for us to stay healthy. Because talent-wise, we're not that far off. We're not the most talented team in the league, but we're much closer to the most talented team than we are the worst talented team in the league. So talent-wise, we're not that far off if we can just stay healthy. So that's the first thing, is we got to stay healthy. Then it's the consistency piece. Need it from the quarterback. Need it from the running back. Need it from the offensive line. Need it from the receivers. Need it from the defense. Consistency. That's what breeds winning. We get that, and we got a chance. Olave or Stingley at 11. I wouldn't be opposed to either one. Both of them helped this team immensely. I think Olave is the pick, though. You know, Ron was very adamant about upgrading the weapons around Carson Wentz. So I think that's what they do at 11, but we'll see. Let's see. Old Head Wisdom. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Old Head Wisdom, who writes, I said draft running back because Gibb needed to sit out a game last season. Keep JD in his role. Patterson too much of a drop-off. Visits say they're looking. Again, you're not getting any pushback from me. I'm just telling you what I think they're going to ultimately do. I don't think they're going to spend a high-level draft pick on a running back because we're not a run-oriented offense, offensive team. Ron would like us to be. That's what we were doing when we won the 4 games in a row, but that's not sustainable. That's not who we are. And I hope that's not who they try to morph into, because it's not our identity. It's not what our offensive line is about. It's not what this team is about. It's not what Scott Turner's about. So be who you are, right? But at the same time, I totally agree with you. We're not disagreeing, okay? Remember, running back was one of the positions I said I would like. I told you it's not, up there with the quarterback, middle linebacker, wide receiver, corner, safety. It's not up there with those positions. Defensive tackle, shit, that's elevated. To me, defensive tackle is right up in there with that first group of quarterback, middle linebacker, safety / corner. And I think defensive tackle goes before wide receiver, even because of the lack of depth. But running back is one of those positions I told you I'm not comfortable with our, guy bringing up the rear. That last chain link of the running back room, you're only as strong as your weakest link. I like you think Jared Patterson is a significant drop-off from Antonio Gibson and shit, even J.D. McKissick. I like to keep J.D. right where he is, just like you do, which is why I said, Ford out of Cincinnati is intriguing to me because he's a 3-down back. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can run it. He's fast. He checks off all the boxes. I like him a lot. He'd be perfect for our running back room, but can you afford to do that is the question. Can you afford to take a position that's not necessarily broken, add to it at the expense of a position that is broken and needs more pieces? Again, you only got 6 draft picks. That's kind of where I have that internal struggle, because if it were up to me, I'd seriously entertain spending a 4th round pick on, a running back. I'd really entertain it. I wouldn't spend a 2nd rounder. Damn sure ain't spending the 1st round pick on it, but I'd seriously entertain spending that 4th round pick on a running back and wouldn't feel bad about doing it. But again, are you in a position where you can do that with only 6 draft picks? And remember, of the 6, it ain't like, the first 5 of these bad boys are in rounds 1 through 5. 3 of them are in rounds 1 through 4. The other 3 are in 6 and 7. Like, these aren't high-level draft picks we're talking about. It's not like we got a pick in each of the first 5 rounds and then we got one in the 7th to make up our 6th and final pick. No, we got one in the 1st, one in the 2nd, one in the 4th, and then one in the 6th and 2 in the 7th. Like, these aren't high-level draft picks. So you can't be wasting your draft capital. And not to say that taking a running back in the 4th is wasting a pick, but you're allocating resources somewhere where they may be better else spent, if you get my drift. So I'm with you. I agree with everything you said. And I totally agree with the fact that they're looking with, one of the interviews that visits they've already had. That said, I don't think it's a matter of if they're looking, it's when are they looking? What are they looking for? I think they're looking for back end of the draft, undrafted. I don't think they're looking for middle of the draft, early in the draft. So we'll see. 16 Devil Doc, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, sorry, Lou, didn't get the squad up notification. I think a lot of people didn't get it. That's on me too. I'm gonna put that out a lot sooner. I put it out relatively late today, and so it probably, and YouTube has already told me multiple times, hey bro, we still in the beta phase of this members thing, so you might want to be out here pounding the pavement, because we ain't gonna do a real good job. Hell, we don't even do a real good job of notifying people when they turn on the notification bell. So you can't trust us to hit people up on this membership shit. So that's my fault, man. I apologize. I'm gonna be better next week. That video will be up a lot sooner, so you'll know. But just know, I'm telling you right now in advance, the video is gonna be 8:15 to 9:15. Maybe give or you take 5 minutes. It might be 8:20, but it's gonna be in that 8 o'clock hour before, an hour before this show takes place. So just know it's gonna be next week, 8:15, 8:20 to 9:15, 9:20, and make sure you be there if you can. Again, if you can't, you just watch it on playback or send your question in advance. Anyway, Ryan Rush, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Ryan Rush, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to look for your comment. I'm assuming you meant to make a comment and made a mistake there. So if I see a comment from you, I'm going to just go ahead and read it. And yeah, there you go, right there. And just to double back, old head wisdom, Gibby could have used the game off, but even if we had another back, I don't know if he takes a game off. Ain't nobody trying to sit out. So, I don't know if that would have changed anything or not. Just saying. Ryan Rush, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Ryan, who writes, Mitch versus Carson. Who is going to have a better season? First off, his mama named him Mitchell. I'm going to call him Mitchell. I really think that it's going to be Carson Wentz. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, I'm not buying all the shit everybody else was selling about him being ready to step in and, he's such a good teammate. He could be a really good teammate. You can be a great guy. What was his damn name? Josh McCown. Great guy. You don't hang around in this league for, 20 years. The better part of 20 years is a professional backup quarterback. If coaches don't like you, if teammates don't like you, if people don't genuinely like you, he got better. Honestly, he got better as he got older, but marginal quarterback at best. All right. Chase Daniel stinks. Continues to get paid. He, along with Sam Bradford, probably has made the most money, has stolen the most money from the NFL. I'm not mad at it. I'm no hater. I say that, but I feel like Jagged Edge when he said, I ain't no hater or nothing, but like you are a hater because you about to tell her why he can't love you like I love you. You are a hater. So maybe I am hating on Chase Daniel, right? But this man has stolen money for the better part of a decade. He stinks. But yet, everybody keeps giving him a job. They like him. He can learn your offense, be a credible backup. He's a great guy in the quarterback room. Mitchell Trubisky seems like one of those dudes. Nice, likable dude. Great in the locker room. Teammates love him. Great for the quarterback room. Coach's dream, But when I saw Mitch get back on the field, look, he had some games in the preseason where he was stroking it. Had a couple of games in the regular season during garbage time where he was nice. But there was also games where he came in and Mitch is throwing pick sixes. I'm like, same old me. Look like the same old Mitchell Trubisky. Same old Mitch. I surmise that Mitchell is going to go to Pittsburgh. He'll be solid, but he won't be on. It's a reason why the Steelers are looking to draft the future. If they thought he could be what we think Carson Wentz could be, they wouldn't be drafting a quarterback. They're drafting a quarterback because they think Mitchell Trubisky is a stopgap. They'd love for him to prove them wrong, but they think he's a stopgap. So do I. 1/6 Devil Doc. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, best blocking third down running back you've ever seen, Lou? Mine, Portis. That's a really good one, man. I don't know if you get much better than CP. He definitely used to put his body on the line. I'm pretty sure there's some other guys that have been outstanding blocking running backs. There are probably some in the league right now that are outstanding at protecting the quarterback, but I don't know if you get any better than Clinton. Clinton he used to give it everything he had. So he's in that conversation. I'd have to sit down and think about it. There have been some really good ones probably over the years. He's a really good one. All right. So that was the last super chat. So we'll get out of here. We'll come back. We'll chop it up next week. We'll be more aggressive as we get closer and closer to the draft. We'll get more and more aggressive with the content. I'll be working on my mock draft this weekend. I hope to have that out to the masses next week sometime. So be on the lookout for that. But we'll definitely, I'm going to do this. I ask that you do the same. I know you will. I don't even have to ask you, but, keep your eyes open, ears to the street, see what's being said out there about the boys. You think it's pertinent, send it my way, because I don't hear everything. I don't see everything, and I appreciate when y'all at me, even though sometimes y'all be at me crazy stuff. I don't care. Yes, I'd rather you safe than sorry. I'd rather you at me. I'd rather you DM me, send me the stuff than not send it, so I'm looking forward to seeing, all these players that we continue to have visits with. It'll kind of give us a framework of what they're thinking. Again, it's not the end all be all because they met with the guy or didn't meet. It's plenty of times and plenty of examples of teams not going to this guy's pro day, not having a visit with him, and then drafting him. So we know that this time of the year is all smoke screens and smoke signals, and you got to sort through all of that. So we'll see what's going on, but we don't do a good job of those smoke screens and smoke signals and all that shit. We don't do a good job with any of that stuff. So usually when we do something, it's because we're doing it because there's a purpose behind it. Marcus Dixon, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Marcus Dixon writes, I'm hearing a lot more noise on Kenneth Walker III. They are saying he's a workhorse. Make you miss star back option round 2. I don't see that being an option because that's not the kind of offense that we run. We were the Tennessee Titans, if we were the Indianapolis Colts, if we were the Cleveland Browns, if we were the Baltimore Ravens, and that was our style of play where, we need a workhorse back. Even the Ravens, they could do it running back by committee. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, they doing it running back by committee. If you one of those teams with a workhorse back, or even in the Browns case, it's a dual threat back there. It's a two-headed monster, but it's still Nick Chubb's show. With Kareem Hunt getting a piece of the action, but we don't feature one of those types of offenses like Minnesota with Dalvin Cook, or Cleveland with those two guys, or Tennessee with Derrick Henry, or Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor. That's where a guy like, Kenneth Walker III belongs, somewhere like that. I said this. I don't know if I said it here. I think I said it on the MOBB stream earlier tonight about Christian Watson. I said Christian Watson doesn't belong here in Washington. He doesn't fit our offense. Always remember this. Just because a guy is super talented doesn't mean he fits your offense. Not everybody is malleable and adaptable and can change to their scenery and fit in. Like Christian Watson's skill set suggests he should be in Cleveland, or he should be in Indy, or he should be in Minnesota, somewhere where there's heavy run and then some potent ass play action fake off of that. San Francisco. That's where because that's the exact offense he played in at North Dakota State. So you take Christian Watson, you put him in an offense that doesn't look like that, where he doesn't get to use his speed vertically, and you're not maximizing what Christian Watson is supposed to be. You put him in that offense in Cleveland, or you put him in the offense in Indy, or you do it in Tennessee, and Christian Watson will be a stud. That's what he's made for. So you got to be careful. We draft Kenneth Walker III. He's not going to be what he's supposed to be. Not every running back is good from the gun. Some dudes like Adrian Peterson, and I said this earlier tonight in the mob, I said Adrian Peterson, he's not a gun run guy. He wants to be in single back, wants to scan the field, see where he's going. He don't even want a fullback back there. He wants to be in single back. He got it. He don't want to be in a gun. He's not a good gun run guy. So you got to know who you are. That's Kenneth Walker is not who we are. Journey Reed, stand up. You are officially the newest member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you, Journey Reed, for making the journey here to the MOBB squad. You know what to do. Show Journey Reed some love. Look forward to chopping it up with you, Journey. And thank you once again for becoming a member of the squad. You will not regret it. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, whoa, no smoke signals. Too close to Redskins. Peace. Okay. Touche on that. Booker. Thank you for becoming a member of the MOBB. Stand up. Booker. Welcome aboard. Mob, you know what to do. Show Booker some love. Welcome and glad to have you, Booker. Thank you for becoming the newest member of the MOBB. And you've unlocked a ton of content. So welcome aboard the squad. Glad to have you. And Old Head Wisdom. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, for the Twins, how do I join? I usually check out on my iPhone. Again, I don't know if it's possible on mobile devices. It's weird how YouTube has it set up. But if it is, it'll show up. The join button will show up right next to the sub button. You can check out my homepage on YouTube. It'll be there as well. It'll say join at the top. If you don't see it in either one of those spots, it should be on every single video. Where you see subscribe, it should say join right next to it. If it doesn't say it there, then you're probably going to have to either go to an actual desktop, or you have the ability to go to switch to desktop on the YouTube app. It's all the way at the bottom in the settings. You go down to the very bottom and it asks you to switch to desktop settings, and maybe that will have it show up. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Old Head Wisdom, and thank you for inquiring about becoming a member of the MOBB. All right. That said, I'm going to glide to the side and allow you to enjoy the rest of your evening. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, post up. Take command. You guys enjoy your weekend. I know I will. I'll get started on that mock draft, start pounding out the next position, which will be linebacker next week. For those of you who are members of the MOBB, vote, vote, vote. You will determine what position will come after the linebacker position. You've already spoken. Linebacker will be up next week. What comes after linebacker will be determined by you guys. So make sure that you go out and vote. That said, I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Appreciate each and every single one of you for chopping it up with the kid tonight. Look forward to chopping it up again with you next week. If anything big should happen, you'll see this face all up in your space. But until then, God bless and good night. Ha ha.